Chapter 344. Restless Continent. Seeing how confident they were, could it be that the restless continent was famous? We are from the Elan continent. Wei Ziqi replied. Elan continent. Guo Pei and the rest looked at Wei Ziqi and the others in shock. You're really from the Elan continent? Yeah, what's wrong? Sima Yue did not understand why the other party was so surprised. In the past, when the little realm appeared, no one from the Elan continent came here. Guo Pei smiled and said, You should be the first to come to this little realm in tens of thousands of years, so you're a little surprised. Please don't take offense. Sima Yue and the others nodded. Indeed, no one had come to the little realm before. What are your names? Guo Pei asked. My name is Wei Ziqi. Wei Ziqi first introduced himself, then introduced Sima Yue and the rest. Guo Pei also introduced them. The little fatty who was drooling over the food was Guo Liang, Guo Pei's younger brother. Guo Pei looked at Guo Liang and slapped him on the head. Sister, why did you hit me? Guo Liang rubbed his head and glared at Guo Pei. Guo Pei put her hands on her hips and roared. Stop spitting. Don't embarrass me. Although Guo Liang was dissatisfied, he still restrained his greedy look and turned to look at the two who were preparing the food with a smile. Yue this? Sima Yue looked at him and asked with a smile. Do you want to eat? Guo Liang nodded vigorously. His eyes shone as he looked at the barbecued meat. Guo Pei tugged at Guo Liang's sleeve and said, My little brother likes to eat it. Please don't mind him. It's nothing, we all like to eat it. Wei Ziqi said. Since we have prepared a lot of food, you guys can join us. However, you'll have to cook for yourselves after eating, Sima Yue said. Foodies were everywhere. In the past, she had thought that she liked to eat rather unconventional. But as she interacted with more and more people, she realized that there were still many people who liked to eat. Sure, your way of grilling meat is quite unique. Can you teach me? Guo Liang heard Sima Yue's words and came over to ask. Sure. Sima Yue nodded. Then, she placed the roasted meat in her hands onto the plate and let Guo Liang come to her seat. She let him watch Bei Gong Tang roast the meat while she stood at the side to give him pointers on where to put the seasoning or when to turn the meat. This Guo Liang was indeed a foodie. His hands-on skills were not just for show. Looking at the way he flipped the meat, from the beginning, he was a little unfamiliar, but later on, he became skillful and smooth. This was not something that Fatty Chu and the rest could compare to. When Sima Yue saw that he had almost learned everything, she went to the side and picked up a piece of barbecued meat to eat. At the same time, she passed the plate with the barbecued meat to everyone. Guo Pei was a little embarrassed at first, but after taking a bite of the barbecued meat, her reservation disappeared, and she exclaimed that it was delicious. When the other members of the Guo family saw this, they were no longer reserved and came over to eat the roasted meat. How can we not have good wine at a time like this? Fatty Chu said as he took out more than 10 jugs of wine and threw one jug over. Everyone hugged the jug and drank 2 mouthfuls. Bei Gong Tang rolled her eyes at Sima Yue who was standing at the side eating the barbecued meat. This guy really knew how to slack off. Guo Liang saw that the others were eating happily and shouted, You guys leave some for me too, I haven't eaten yet. Wei Ziqi smiled and put down the jug. He came to Guo Liang's side and said, Let me do it. Okay. Guo Liang passed the barbecued meat in his hands to Wei Ziqi and went to his previous position. He hugged the jug that he had drunk and started drinking, not minding that Wei Ziqi had drunk from it. Ouyang Fei also stood up and came to Bei Gong's barbecued meat rack and said, You go and rest, I'll do it. Okay. Bei Gong Tang did not want a barbecued meat anymore and gave the stall to Ouyang Fei before joining the crowd. Yue, I want to eat meat porridge. Bei Gong Tang said unhappily that Sima Yue had left first. Sima Yue put down the barbecued meat in her hands and took out pots and pans to cook the porridge. Recently, she had eaten a lot of barbecued meat and did not really want to eat it. Tonight, it was only because the 3 big men wanted to eat it. Guo Liang saw Sima Yue's utensils and said, These are all spiritual tools. If you use them to cook, it will definitely increase the taste of the food. Why didn't I think of this before? Guo Pei looked at him as if he was an idiot and said, When have you ever seen an armament master refining these spirit artifacts? That's true. Guoliang scratched his head and said, those armament masters' butts are too high. If you want them to refine these things, you'll probably be blacklisted forever. Don't tell me that the armament masters in the Yilin continent refine these things to sell? Yue, where did you buy these spiritual tools? The armament masters in our continent are the same. How could they refine these things? Sima Yue said. Then where did you get these from? Guoliang asked. Fatty refined them. Sima Yue said. Who asked him to be such a glutton? When we asked him to refine these things, he was even more enthusiastic than us. When the others heard her words, they laughed and said, I think Fatty is the most unambitious armament master. Fatty Chu was not angry. He hugged the wine jar and said, this is called applying what you have learned. This was taught to me by Yue. Then Fatty, help me refine some too. Guoliang said, don't worry, I'll definitely pay you. When I'm free, I'll refine them for you. Fatty Chu did not reject. However, they were here to look for opportunities. How would they have the time? Fatty, what about the ones you refined in the past? Wei Ziqi asked. In the past? I can't take them out. Fatty Chu said. He was very principled. How could he show others things that were not refined well? Fatty, you still have more. Guoliang looked at Fatty and said, since you have ready-made ones, sell them to me. Otherwise, when the time comes and you don't have time to refine them for me, I'll miss out on an armament master like you. Fatty Chu was pestered by Guoliang for a long time, before he finally took out a few spirit tools. They were all pots and pans. And there was even a barbecue rack. These were all things that he had refined for Sima Yue. Because he felt that they were not very good, he waited for his armament refining skills to improve before he refined them again. Because of this, Sima Yue and the rest even joked that there would be a day when they would use these divine tools to make food. When Guoliang saw these tools, he was extremely excited. He touched this and looked at that. His mouth was about to split open from ear to ear. Fatty, I want all these spirit tools. How are you selling them? Fatty Chu shook his head and said, I'm not selling these things. Once he heard that he was not selling, Guoliang panicked and said, Fatty, how can you not sell them? No way, if you don't sell them to me, I'll always follow you. I'll follow you wherever you go. Chapter 345. Fatty Chu was speechless. Did Guoliang have to be so agitated? It was still Wei Ziqi who laughed from the side. Fatty's meaning is that these things are all for you, and you don't need to spend money to buy them. Really? Happiness came so suddenly that Guoliang couldn't believe it for a moment. Fatty Chu nodded his head and said, this thing wasn't refined very well in the first place. Since you want it, I'll give it to you. In any case, I don't think anyone would buy it. Thank you, Fatty. Guoliang was so excited that he almost gave Fatty Chu a bear hug. Guo Pei Pei helplessly shook her head when she saw her brother like this. She saw Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang fiddling at the side. She walked over and asked, what are you guys doing? Kanji. It's good for nourishing one's qi and skin. It's suitable for women to nourish their bodies. Sima Yue said smoothly, you can have a bowl later. Guo Pei Pei looked at Sima Yue and said, you're a man. How do you know what a woman needs? Sima Yue originally wanted to nourish herself and Bei Gong Tang, so she answered Guo Pei Pei's question. Why did Guo Pei Pei act as if she was a gangster? Bei Gong's health isn't good, so I often make things for her to nourish her body. She was only stunned for a moment before she made up a story. Bei Gong Tang rolled her eyes at her, but did not expose her. I see. Miss Bei Gong is so lucky to have the few of you to protect her. As she said that, she looked at Wei Ziqi who was roasting meat for Bei Gong. By the way, your surnames are different. You're not from the same family, right? No. Bei Gong Tang said. We formed a team when we were 15 or 16, and have already lived together for 6 to 7 years. We've been living together all this time, and we're closer than normal family members. It was rare for Bei Gong Tang to say such emotional words. Sima Yue was not used to it. That's great, Guo Pei Pei said enviously. For a large family like theirs, it was very difficult for such feelings to exist. Miss Guo, what kind of land is the restless land? Sima Yue asked. The restless continent is one of the top 10 continents where geniuses gather. Many sects and families have members in the primordial lands. One of the 10 great continents. How did the continent's rankings come about? Bei Gongtang asked curiously. Guopei was originally a little surprised that they didn't even know this. But then she remembered that they came from the captive continent and felt that it was normal because they had never participated in the matters between the continents. She patiently explained to them. This ranking is actually based on the geniuses of each continent. Every 500 years, a competition will be held between the continents, and then the rankings will be calculated according to the results of each continent. So the participants are all geniuses from different continents? Sima Yue asked. That's right. People under 200 years old are geniuses. Guopei said. This kind of competition is usually hosted by the forces of the upper realm. Those geniuses who stand out will be selected by the upper realm. The good ones will even directly join those forces. Don't all deities enter the upper realm? Sima Yue asked. Ha ha ha. The Guo family's people laughed when they heard their conversation. A girl called Guofu smiled and said, It's not like that. Deities have the qualifications to enter the upper realm, but not necessarily. Why? Fatty Chu asked. Because it's too hard to survive in the upper realm. If you don't have a powerful background, most deities will be easily killed by others. Guofu said. Huh. Fatty Chu and the others blinked. Was the upper realm that cruel? Guofu is not exaggerating at all. In our continent, those who have advanced to deities will not immediately go up. They will wait until their power is a little stronger before going up. Only those who have been selected by the forces of the upper realm will go up. Guopei said. Your continent can advance to deities? Sima Yu asked in surprise. They can. Why can't you? The Guo family's people looked at Sima Yue and the others in surprise. Sima Yue shook her head, saying, Our continent can only advance to the peak of Spirit Paragon, and can't advance any further. The only sacred beast that appeared, I don't know what method he used to advance. I've heard before that the Yiling continent is called the prison continent. The rules there are very strong. Maybe it's because of this that you can't advance to deities. Guopei said. Young Miss Guo, you said that the upper realm is cruel. How cruel is it? Fatty Chu asked. I heard one of my granduncles say that in the upper realm, there are tens of thousands of people dying every day. Guopei said. It doesn't sound like a lot, but thinking about it, there are so many people dying every day. How many people will die in the long run? Fatty Chu swallowed his saliva, saying, So many people will die? Won't they all die? If this was the Yiling continent, the entire continent would have died in a few years, right? Hearing his words, the Guo family laughed again. Guo Liang shook his head, saying, There are so many people in each continent, and the lifespan of a spirit master is so long. How many descendants will there be? Although there are many people dying every day, there are also many people being born every day. Although many people die, there are also many people who will be sent to the upper realm. So you don't have to worry about everyone dying. Do you know how many continents there are in total? Fatty Chu was shocked. He used to think that the Dongchen kingdom was big, but after he came out and saw the Yiling continent, he felt that the Dongchen kingdom was small. Now that he heard them say this, the entire Yiling continent was just a drop in the ocean in this world. It is said that there are thousands of continents in our region, and the primordial lands is one level above us. It is said that there are continents that are on par with the primordial lands, but this world is too big, and we don't know if there are any. Guopei said. The barbecued meat in Fatty Chu's hand fell to the ground, and he was completely stunned. Sima Yue's hand that was cooking the porridge also paused, and the ladle almost fell into the pot. Wei Ziqi and Ouyang Fei even forgot to flip the barbecued meat, and their faces were full of shock. Guopei looked at Sima Yue and the others' expressions, and knew that her words had shocked them. She brushed the hair by her ear and said, Actually, no matter how big this world is, we are all moving upwards. We just have to set our goal to go to the upper realm. That's right, actually this world isn't that big. It's just that this is the first time you've heard of it, and that's why you're so shocked. Guofu said. They didn't know that the Elin continent knew nothing about the outside world, so they didn't think that their words would shock them so much. Chapter 346. I really didn't think that this world would actually be so big. Wei Ziqi stroked his chin and sighed. Fortunately, they had chosen to come out. If not, they would have lived in a small place like the Dongqin kingdom for the rest of their lives, forever living like frogs at the bottom of a well. Sima Yue was more receptive, as she recalled the endless universe in her previous life. There were many planets in the universe that even the people of the current era did not know about. Other than the ones that could be seen and explored, there were many more planets further away, and there might be many more life forms. Take the solar system as an example. With the Sun as the center, there were 8 major planets, including Mercury, Venus, and Earth, hundreds of known satellites, and hundreds of millions of small bodies in the solar system. And no one could say for sure how many solar systems there were in the universe. The primordial lands were like the Sun, and the other continents were like the planets and moons around the Sun. The world was infinitely big. This was Sima Yue's conclusion. But no matter how big the world is, their world lies in their hearts. However big their hearts were, their world would be just as big. After figuring this out, she slowly calmed down and continued to cook the porridge. Wei Ziqi and the rest also slowly accepted this matter. It was no wonder that they had been together with Sima Yue for so long. Their ability to accept things was extremely strong. No matter how big this world is, what we can do now is to raise our own strength. Fatty Chu clenched his fist and said, "That's right. Only when you have the strength can you go to other places to take a look." Sima Yue nodded as well. Sima Yue nodded in satisfaction when she saw that they were not affected by this fact. The porridge is ready. She put away the fire at the bottom of the pot, and Bei Gong Tang and the others each took out their own bowls to scoop a bowl of soup. They ate a delicious meal together, with the dishes that Bei Gong Tang had just cooked. "The food you guys make is really delicious. I ate so much barbecued meat just now that I'm full. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have eaten so much just now," Guo Liang said as he rubbed his round belly. Guo Peipei looked at her brother helplessly. She couldn't wait to punch him in the face and embarrass him again. But tonight, she had eaten more than she had ever eaten in her life. It was the same for the other members of the Guo family. Almost everyone was full. They had never eaten so much before. A wood dash suddenly, a wolf's howl woke the lazy group of people. They stood up and looked in the direction of the howl. Prung dash not long after. The aftermath of the battle spread over. Even though they were far away, they could still feel the soul-stirring pressure. Judging by the noise, there are at least 2 divine beasts at the peak of the spiritual venerable realm fighting, Guo Peipei said. It's coming from the heart of the mountain range's mountain range. It seems like there's some kind of heavenly treasure over there, which is why a battle of this level could occur, Guo Peipei said. How do you know that there's a treasure? Fatty Chu. I've been to another lesser realm before. The rules are similar to this lesser realm. Only those below the ultimate god realm can enter. S's. Guo Peipei said. You've been to others? Guo Peipei nodded saying, these appear at irregular times. But when they appear, the continents will get the news and let people in. I was lucky enough to come across one a few years ago. Big sister, should we go over? Guo Liang looked at the sky that was almost dyed red by the battle and asked. No. Guo Peipei said. They'll be fighting until tomorrow morning. There's no point in us going tonight. Oh. The members of the Guo family were convinced by Guo Peipei's words. Since she refused to go, they sat down again. Sima Yue looked at the Guo family members. They were all strong. Otherwise, they wouldn't be so calm in front of a spirit paragon spirit beast. While she was sighing, the Guo family members were also guessing their strength. They came from the Elin continent and shouldn't be very strong. They were so calm either because they were ignorant or because they were strong enough to not be afraid of a spirit paragon spirit beast. From tonight's interaction, they were definitely not ignorant people. Hence, the latter was the only possibility. Sima Yue and the others asked the Guo family members about the littles. Since they had eaten so much from them, the Guo family members had no choice but to tell them most of what they knew about the littles, and even told them how to raise their littles strength. Sima Yu didn't have any objections to what they said, and listened to them humbly. However, to her, when she found out that there was a group of divine beasts here, taming divine beasts seemed to have become a big way for her to increase her strength. When the two sides were done talking, the Guo family members got up and left. Just as they returned to their own tents, they suddenly felt a sense of danger, and all of them came out. Sima Yue also told everyone the moment the danger came. She even called Little Roar out, and told him to go with Little Rock to gather information. Soon, Little Roar and the others came back and said, Yu, there are many spirit beasts on both sides of the valley. We've been surrounded. How many? Sima Yue asked. More than 100, Little Roar said. Seeing Sima Yue heave a sigh of relief, he added, It's more than 100 in one direction. What? Why didn't you say it all at once? Why are you panting at this time? Sima Yue knocked Little Roar's head. Little Roar looked gloomily at Sima Yue, and wanted to stretch out his little legs to rub his head that was knocked. What are the ranks of those spirit beasts? Sima Yue asked again. Most of them are rank 2 or 3. A few of them are rank 3. None of them are rank 4. Little Rock said. Other than spirit beasts, there are many saint beasts behind. Little Roar added. Can't we take a flying beast and leave this place? Fatty Chu asked. You can't. Little Roar said. There are many flying beasts circling in the air. If you go up, you'll only be a target. The Guo family members also received the news. After thinking for a while, Guo Pei walked over and said to them, There are many spirit beasts surrounding this valley. I'm afraid there will be a battle later. When the time comes, we'll try our best to help you block some of them. Thank you for your kind intentions, Miss Guo. Sima Yue smiled. However, we don't plan to fight with those spirit beasts directly. You want to take a flying beast and leave? Guo Pei disagreed. There are many flying beasts outside. This path won't work. Sima Yue smiled confidently. No, we won't leave. We'll stay in this valley. Chapter 347. Since you've decided to stay, why are you not attacking those spirit beasts? Guo Pei was puzzled. Sima Yue smiled and explained. Look, there are divine beasts at the peak of the spiritual venerable realm fighting over there. Logically speaking, these divine beasts should avoid them. Why are they still coming to this valley? Something must have attracted them, or they must have been ordered by someone to ignore those two divine beasts. Guo Pei said. That's right. So what we need to do now is to find out the reason. Otherwise, it doesn't matter if we run or fight. Sima Yue said. But those are all divine beasts. The Guo family's people all gathered around. Even if my eldest sister has already reached the level of a spiritual venerable, she still won't be able to deal with so many divine beasts at the same time. Not to mention that some of them are almost at the level of a spiritual venerable. Sima Yue did not think that Guo Pei would become a spirit paragon at such a young age. She thought about how the spirit paragons in the Yilin continent were all old fellows, but the spirit paragon in front of her was so young. Comparisons were odious. However, at this moment, she had forgotten that the few of them had already reached the level of spirit emperor at such a young age. Furthermore, they had come from a continent like the Yilin continent, where the rules of the continent had been stripped away. Little Roar, can you find out why those spirit beasts came to this valley? Sima Yue asked Little Roar, who was in her embrace. There are so many divine beasts. I'm scared to go out. Little Roar said. Didn't you claim to be the best at swindling spirit beasts? Now you're just going to scout for information. Can't you do that? Fatty Chu said from the side. No. Little Roar's long ears drooped down as he used his claws to cover them. He stayed in Sima Yue's embrace and did not move. Sima Yue felt that Little Roar was acting strangely and reached out to touch his long ears, asking, Little Roar, what's wrong with you? Yu, I don't feel well. I don't feel well at all. Little Roar opened his eyes wide and looked pitifully at Sima Yue. Sima Yue did not expect that Little Roar, who was fine just now, would suddenly feel uncomfortable. She asked worriedly, Where do you feel uncomfortable? I don't know either. I just feel that my heart is very stuffy and irritated. Little Roar said. Master, I have the same feeling. The blood in my body feels like it's boiling. Little Rock landed on Sima Yuyue's shoulder and spoke with difficulty, as if he was restraining something. Master, me too. A bird on Guapei's shoulder also said. Something must have affected them. Guapei immediately reacted and took back the bird on her shoulder. Sima Yue also kept Little Roar and Little Rock into the spirit pagoda. After the two contracted beasts entered, they felt much better. Yue, there might be magic crystal stones here. Emosha suddenly transmitted. Magic crystals? What is that? Sima Yue asked. A type of magic crystal that can mess up a spirit beast's mind. Emosha said. I'll tell you the specifics later. You have to find that thing first, it's useful to me. Sima Yue pursed her lips. Every time this guy wanted something, he would ask her to get it for him. He never did anything. Humph. I'll go back and see if there's anything else I can squeeze from him. I can't always work for him for free. She muttered in her heart. Everyone's spirit beasts were uncomfortable. They didn't even dare to call out their contracted beasts now. They were fine just now. Why did they suddenly become like this? Guofu said worriedly. Without contracted beasts, our battle power will be greatly reduced. Who would have thought that they would encounter such a situation when they just arrived in the little realm? Do you guys know about the magic crystal stones? Sima Yue asked. Magic crystal stones? What's that? Guoliang asked. My contracted beasts told me that they were affected by the magic crystal stones. Sima Yue said. Magic crystal stones. Guopei frowned, saying. What's that? Sima Yue saw them like this, and knew that they didn't know what the magic crystal stones were either. It seemed like they couldn't rely on them. Big sis, what do we do now? Another girl from the Guo family looked at Guopei and asked. Guopei's expression wasn't good either. Without contracted beasts, their battle power was reduced by almost half. She was the only spirit paragon. It would be difficult for them to deal with a few hundred spirit beasts. Looks like we have to find the magic crystal stones. Wei Ziqi said. We've been in this valley for so long and haven't felt anything. It'll be difficult to find the magic crystal stones now. Ouyang Fei said. We still have to find it. Sima Yue said. Only when we find it will those spirit beasts stop. Don't worry. Emosha transmitted. The magic crystal stones don't move during the day. You guys just have to last through tonight. We can find the magic crystal stones tomorrow. Those spirit beasts won't eat the magic crystal stones? Sima Yue asked. The magic crystal stones will only make them delirious. They won't have any appetite. Emosha said. Then it'll be easy. Sima Yue said. Yue, do you have a way? Wei Ziqi and the others asked when they saw Sima Yue's expression. They said that the magic crystal stones will only move at night, and not during the day. We just have to last through tonight. Sima Yue said. But it won't be easy to last through tonight. Guopei looked outside the valley and said. So many spirit beasts are coming, and we only have a few dozen people. Array. Sima Yue said. Just use an array. Call all of your men over. Ziqi, you guys pay attention to the situation outside. See how long it'll take for the spirit beasts to come here. I'll go set up a defensive array. Although she had set up a defensive array when they came here, it wasn't very good. She needed to set up a new one. She took out an array stone and suddenly slapped it on her forehead, saying, How could I be so stupid? What's wrong, Yue? Bei Gong Tang saw her slapping her forehead and asked. I'm crying because of my own stupidity. Sima Yue said. I could set up an array. Why didn't I set up a teleportation array? Why did I set up a defensive array? Call them all over. We'll leave this place immediately. Roar dash. A wood dash, the spirit beasts were getting closer and closer. They were just a few minutes away from reaching them. Everyone come into the defensive array. Sima Yue shouted at the Guo family members. Once they were in, she injected some spirit energy into the ground and activated the array. A white light enveloped them. After that, she began to set up a teleportation array in the defensive array. The Guo family members didn't think that Sima Yue was an array master. Furthermore, she didn't even need to think before setting up the array. This showed that she wasn't a low-ranked array master. After a few minutes, those spirit beasts rushed to the center of the valley. Yue, the spirit beasts are charging in. Fatty Chu saw the spirit beasts and shouted, "What's the rush? Don't we still have a defensive array?" Sima Yue didn't even raise her head, as she continued to set up the array. She wasn't worried about the spirit beasts charging in at all. Chapter 348. The spirit beasts that rushed over seemed to have smelled the scent of humans. After they entered, they rushed straight towards the defensive array. Because they were blocked, they began to attack the defensive array nonstop. "Big sis, is this reliable?" "That's right. She's so young. Can she set up a teleportation array?" The requirements for a teleportation array formation master were relatively high, because it involved tearing open a passage in the void. Many array formation masters were unable to come out of the teleportation array. "Do you have any other options other than trusting her?" Guo Peipei asked. It wasn't a problem for her to rush out alone, but it would be difficult for her to bring her family with her. Bang! The divine beasts kept attacking the defense array, and the red-eyed spirit beasts came from all directions. Several times, the defense array looked like it was about to collapse. When the Guo family saw the crazy spirit beasts outside, they were scared witless. However, when he looked at Sima Yue, he realized that she was still leisurely setting up the teleportation formation. If I had known that there would be so many divine beasts, I would have set up the Sima family's clan protection formation. I wouldn't have to go through so much trouble to set up the teleportation formation. Sima Yue mumbled as she set up the formation. You can't hold on much longer," Wei Ziqi said. Sima Yue finished carving the last array stone into the ground and said, "All right, everyone come over." Everyone stood beside her. She quickly activated the array, because she saw that the defense array was already on the verge of collapse. The light of the teleportation enveloped them. At the same time, the defense array was broken. The mythological beasts rushed over, but they only had time to roar at them before those humans disappeared in front of their eyes. Roar! One of the divine beasts was extremely fast. It grabbed the tail of the teleportation array and disappeared together with it. About 10 miles away from the canyon, a dozen or so people fell from the sky. They were dizzy from the fall. PFFF. Before everyone could react, they heard the sound of the spiritual sword piercing into the body. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw Guo Peipei stabbing her sword into the heart of a divine beast. Her spiritual energy flowed through the spirit sword and entered the divine beast's body, shattering its heart. The divine beast whimpered a few times before it lost its life. "Big sister," Guoliang shouted. "When I was teleporting, I felt a divine beast following me," Guo Peipei said. That was why she immediately attacked the mythological beast that came out of the teleportation array. "I can only set up a short-distance teleportation formation now. We are not far from the canyon now. We should leave quickly. If they find out and chase after us, we will be in trouble," Sima Yue said. Thus, the group of people flew in the opposite direction of the valley. They traveled the entire night, and only stopped when the sun rose the next day. "Everyone, let's rest here," Sima Yue said as she guessed that the danger had passed. "Who? After rushing for an entire night, there isn't much spirit chi left in my body," Fatty Chu said as he took out some elixirs and swallowed them. The others also ate pills and meditated to recover their spirit chi. Sima Yue sat at the side and called out Little Roar and Little Rock, asking, "How are the two of you now?" "Yu, I'm fine now." Little Roar rubbed against Sima Yue's chest and said coquettishly, "It's good that you're fine." Sima Yue rubbed his long ears, then looked at Little Rock and said, "What about you, Little Rock?" "Master, after we entered the spirit pagoda, we began to slowly recover. We've already calmed down," Little Rock said. "Then, can you still feel the magic crystal's vibrations from here?" Sima Yue asked. "No." Little Rock and Little Roar shook their heads. Looks like Mo Sha was right when he said that there wouldn't be any vibrations in the day, Sima Yue said. "Then let's go back and look for the magic crystal." "Master, why are we looking for the magic crystal?" Little Rock did not understand. This thing was harmful to the mythological beasts. Why did they have to look for it? Mo Sha said it's useful, but I don't know what he's going to do with it, Sima Yue said. She told everyone to wait here, while she made a trip back to the valley. Then, she sat on Little Rock and flew towards the valley. That's a level 5 mythological beast, for winged rock? Last night, Little Rock was only in camouflage, so they did not see Little Rock's real body and level. Seeing it today, they were all shocked. A mythological beast with the strength of a spirit paragon, and an array master. Looks like the people of the Yiling continent aren't all that bad. The Gua family sighed in their hearts. Little Rock's speed was extremely fast. The distance that they had to fly for the entire night, Little Rock reached in just over an hour. Sima Yue came to the valley and saw that there was not a single strand of rock, saying, "Looks like we were careless when we set up camp yesterday. When we saw that there were no plants in the valley, we should have thought that something was wrong. But we overlooked this point. Every night, the mythological beasts would go crazy here. No wonder the plants could not grow." She walked around the valley, but did not find any special rocks. She knocked on the bracelet and said, "Hey, I don't know what a magic crystal is. Do you want to come out and look for it?" She originally thought that Emo Sha would ignore her, but she did not expect that the moment she finished speaking, Emo Sha would come out from the devil's snare bracelet. "Are you sure it's what you want?" Sima Yue asked. Emo Sha closed his eyes and felt for a moment, saying, "That's right, it's a magic crystal." After speaking, he floated towards the center of the valley. Every time Sima Yue saw him like this, she felt as if a ghost had come, and couldn't help but curse in her heart. "Actually, you're a ghost." But cursing was just cursing, she still followed him. One person, and one ghost came to the center of the valley. Emo Sha waved his hand, and a huge rock was sent flying by him. Sima Yue felt the strength of his wave, and was speechless. This guy's strength had recovered quite a bit. She saw Emo Sha staring at the rock in a daze and asked, "This is a magic crystal?" "No," Emo Sha said. "Then why are you staring at it in a daze?" "Because I want to," Emo Sha calmly replied. As Sima Yue glared at him, grinding her teeth. She really wanted to go up and punch him. "Don't play around like this." Emo Sha acted as if nothing had happened, and turned towards the place where the huge rock was placed. "Here, dig," Emo Sha said. "Aren't you very powerful? Dig it out yourself." Sima Yue sat her but on the huge rock that Emo Sha had just sent flying. She supported her chin with both hands, and said with a smile, "I can only move things I can't dig." Emo Sha said, "Benefits?" Sima Yue stretched out her hand. "What benefits?" Emo Sha was puzzled. "Look, your soul's strength has recovered, and your strength has recovered. It's all because of me, right? If you said you were my person, I wouldn't be so calculative, but you'll leave me sooner or later, right? Of course I can't lose out. I gave you so many good things, and now you want me to be your coolie. Shouldn't you give me some benefits?" Chapter 349. Emo Sha looked at Sima Yu's smiling yet shameless face, and the bit of unhappiness in his heart dissipated. "What benefits do you want?" He looked at her with an indifferent expression. "Anything is fine, as long as it's good stuff." Sima Yue said, "But it's best if it's some kind of high-grade spiritual technique, or a rare treasure." "Hey, what are you doing?" She hadn't finished speaking when Emo Sha suddenly appeared in front of her. Furthermore, his upper body and hands had solidified. He held her head and pressed their foreheads together. He said in a seductive voice, "Didn't you say you wanted benefits? I'm giving you benefits now. Is there anyone who gives benefits like you do? Let go of me." Sima Yue struggled and realized that she could not break free from him. "How can I give you benefits if I let you go?" Emo Sha increased the strength of his hand, not letting Sima Yue slip away. Then when her face was filled with shock, he covered her lips with his. Sima Yue widened her eyes in disbelief. This guy actually kissed her. F*CKU. Why do I always get kissed by force? Back then Wu Lingyu was like this. Was he the same now? Especially when the two of them licked their lips after the forceful kiss, looking like they were savoring the aftertaste. It was really infuriating. Emo Sha let go of Sima Yue and said, "So this is the taste of kissing?" Sima Yue looked at Emo Sha, who had returned to his soul form, and was unable to vent her anger. Hearing his words, she immediately exploded and roared, "Bullshit kiss. This is a forced kiss. Do you know about forced kissing?" Emo Sha saw that she was so angry and helpless, and a rare smile appeared on his face. "Isn't that a good thing?" he asked. "Good my ass." She used all her strength to wipe her mouth. Just when Emo Sha thought that she had been taken advantage of and wasn't angry, she added, "Even if the two of you are very good looking, even if this kiss was to benefit me, I should be the one to force a kiss on you, not the other way around." Little Rock and Little Roar, who were at the side, covered their eyes. They really wanted to say that they didn't know this guy. Could it be that she was not conflicted about being kissed, but about being forcefully kissed? Or perhaps, she hoped that he would be the one to kiss her forcefully? When Emo Sha heard her words, his smile deepened. "Look at your sea of consciousness." Although Sima Yue was not happy, she still released a trace of her intent into her sea of consciousness. Her eyes widened again. When she saw clearly what had appeared in her sea of consciousness, the anger on her face disappeared instantly. "Hee, this is not bad." Sima Yue's facial expression changed very quickly, leaving the two beasts speechless. The body refining art was a secret technique that corresponded to the soul refining art. The latter could strengthen one's soul power, while the former could strengthen one's body. The body tempering technique he had given her was one of the body tempering techniques. "Can we go dig now?" Emo Sha looked at a certain someone with a face full of greed, but there wasn't a bit of anger in his heart. Back then, he had spent a lot of effort to obtain these things. Now she had cheated him of 3 of them. If it was someone else, he would definitely be angry. However, when he saw her satisfied expression, he did not feel angry. Instead, he felt satisfied. Satisfied? He was shocked by his own thoughts. Even when he had obtained so many things in his life and achieved so much, he had never felt satisfied with a good reputation. Now he felt satisfied just by looking at her smile? "Hey, why are you in a daze?" Sima Yue waved her hand in front of his eyes. "What?" He collected his thoughts and looked at a certain someone who was showing off in front of him. "Didn't I accept your things and want to do something for you? I wanted to ask if you have any requests. How do I dig? If you don't tell me, what if I break it?" Sima Yue said, "You can dig as much as you want. Anyway, with your strength, you won't be able to break the magic crystal stone." Emo Sha glanced at her and looked down on her strength. I won't argue with you." Sima Yue waved her fist and did not look at him anymore. She went to the place where Emo Sha had moved the stone. Because this place was previously covered by a large stone, the color of the soil here was different from the outside. Sima Yue took out a shovel and began to dig the soil. However, she found that the soil was very soft and could not be moved at all. This soil has already been affected by the magic crystal stone and has mutated. It's best if you use your spiritual energy to break it. Emo Sha said faintly from the side. Sima Yue secretly gritted her teeth, and the hand holding the shovel unconsciously tightened. This guy, he obviously knew about it but didn't tell her. After seeing her make a fool of herself, he then made sarcastic remarks. "Really? Despicable. Hurry up, otherwise you won't be able to finish digging today." Emo Sha saw her internal injuries and was very happy. "I won't argue with you." Sima Yue took a deep breath and suppressed her anger. Then, she put away the shovel and condensed a spiritual energy ball to attack the ground. There was no movement on the ground. "Use the metal attribute," Emo Sha said. She took another deep breath and gritted her teeth. "I'll bear with it." She changed her spiritual energy to the metal attribute and formed a seal with both hands. Then, she turned her spiritual energy into a large hammer and smashed it down fiercely. Pung! Sima Yue felt as if the ground trembled, but the ground did not move at all. Emo Sha floated over and looked at the ground that did not even have a crack. He shook his head and said, "I knew you didn't have enough, but I didn't think that you couldn't even move it a little." Sima Yue was depressed. Could this still be called mud? It was actually so hard. Or was it that her own strength was so weak that she couldn't even move a piece of mud? "Try using that divine weapon," Emo Sha said. Sima Yue took out Ling Long, and the moment Ling Long came out, she hugged Sima Yue and cried, You, ever since you got those pots and pans, you don't let me out anymore." Sob, sob, sob. Sima Yue's face was full of black lines. Didn't this girl protest against her using her as a tool in the past? All right, I'll let you out to play more often in the future. She comforted her. Ling Long was originally very small and was only the size of a palm. If someone asked her what she was, how was she supposed to answer? Yu, why did you call me out this time? Ling Long got Sima Yu's promise and wiped away her non-existent tears. Sima Yue pointed at the hard soil and said, "This soil has already turned into rock. I can't move it. Can you help me?" "No problem." Ling Long patted her chest and came out from Sima Yu's hand. She merged into the divine weapon and then twisted and turned, turning into a hammer. However, it looked much smaller than the hammer that Sima Yue had turned into with her spiritual technique. "Aha!" Ling Long screamed and the hammer smashed into the ground. The solid ground that Sima Yue had been trying to move for a long time now had cracks like a spider web. Chapter 350. Sima Yue swallowed her saliva as she looked at the crumbling ground. "Yu, is this all right?" Exquisite asked. Sima Yue walked over and stomped on the soil, turning it into powder. "That's enough." She squatted down and reached out to touch the powder. Then, she took out a container and put it all in. Ling Long turned into an artifact spirit and sat on her shoulder, asking, "Yu, what are you going to do with this? This soil is even harder than normal rocks. I'll pack it up and ask Fatty if he needs it later. I feel that this powder is not ordinary." Sima Yue replied. Emo Sha, who was at the side, didn't expect Sima Yue to be so sharp. The soil that had been transformed by the magic crystal was indeed a rare material for refining weapons. Sima Yue collected all the soil, and a 10-meter square and 2-meter deep pit appeared on the ground. In the middle of the pit, there was a 50-centimeter tall diamond-shaped black crystal. "This is a magicite. What a huge piece." Sima Yue brushed off the dirt on the magic crystal, revealing its original appearance. Emo Sha didn't think that there would be such a big piece of magic crystal. The biggest one he had seen before was only the size of a human head. This one was twice as big. "Emo Sha, what exactly does this thing do?" Sima Yue asked. The magic crystal stone doesn't have much use to other people, but to the people of the devil world, it's like the rare crystals you humans have. Emo Sha said. "What is a crystal? What does it do?" Emo Sha remembered that this continent didn't have any crystal stones and was in a rare good mood. He explained to her, "In the primordial lands, those people's cultivation is different from yours. They absorb spiritual energy, not spiritual energy. They can get the spiritual energy they want from the crystal stones, which is much faster than you guys absorbing spiritual energy bit by bit." Absorb crystals? Sima Yue blinked. She could not imagine what it was like. In the primordial lands, only ordinary citizens use gold coins. Spirit masters usually use crystal stones as their currency. The higher the grade, the greater the value. Some people don't use the crystals as currency after obtaining them. Instead, they directly absorb the spiritual energy inside to increase their own strength. Emo Sha said, "Those rare crystals contain a shocking amount of spiritual energy. Just a small piece is worth thousands of normal crystals. The Devil's Crystal Stone is also a rare crystal stone. It's just that only the Devil clansmen can use it." Sima Yue understood. "That's right." Emo Sha nodded. "When I merge with my physical body, I'll need a large amount of devil energy. These devil crystal stones can make up for it. My senior brother won't disappear after you fuse with him, right?" Sima Yue asked worriedly. Although Wu Lingyu wasn't a good person, he was still her senior brother. Old Man Devil valued him so much. If she really disappeared from this world, how sad would he be? Emo Sha suddenly felt uncomfortable in his heart. With a cold face he asked, "Do you care about him that much?" "No matter what, he's still my senior brother." Sima Yue didn't know why Emo Sha's aura suddenly changed. "Then why aren't you worried that I'll disappear?" Emo Sha was dissatisfied, although the other half was also his soul. Seeing that she was worried about Wu Lingyu and not him, he really wanted to destroy the other half of Wu Lingyu's soul. "Worried about you?" Sima Yue looked at Emo Sha and said, "You're so strong. Do you still need to worry? Senior brother's soul is so weak. You're so strong now. If anything happens, it'll definitely be him. It won't be you. You trust me that much? Hearing her say that, his heart felt a little better. Of course. Sima Yue nodded without thinking. Emosha's mood improved again. We're fusing, not swallowing. Don't worry. Oh. Sima Yue replied. Why did this guy change his face faster than a woman? Someone's coming. Emosha said as he used a black fog to wrap the devil crystal stone up, bringing it into the devil snare bracelet. After a while, a group of people flew over from afar. Young Master Sima, are you all right? Guo Pei Pei and the others stood on the back of the flying beast, looking at Sima Yue who was standing in the hole. Sima Yue and the others raised their heads and saw that they had all come. She waved at them and said, I'm fine. Sima Yue and the others came down from the flying beast and saw her standing in the hole. Did you find the devil crystal stone? Sima Yue took out a small piece that was left beside the devil crystal stone. This is it. It's just a small stone. Why did you dig such a big hole? Fatty Chu and the others came down as well and asked when they saw the black stone in her hand. Isn't this for you? Sima Yue said. She took out a piece of mutated soil that was not completely crushed. See if this thing is useful to you? Let me see. Fatty Chu took the soil and felt that it was different the moment he touched it. This soil is so hard. It's obviously not a rock, but it's harder than a rock. Try it and see if you can break it. Sima Yue said. Okay. Fatty Chu took out a container and placed the mud into it. Then he began to beat it. However, after a few minutes, the mud did not move at all. Instead, the container that he used to decompose the material was broken. Seeing that his tool was broken, Fatty Chu did not feel bad at all. Instead, his eyes shone and he said excitedly, This is good stuff. The Guo family saw this and said, What kind of soil is this? It's so hard. It's mutated soil caused by the devil crystal stone. Sima Yue said. Fatty Chu tried a few more times, but he could not break the soil even after using all his skills. Yue, this thing is good, but if it can't be broken, it's useless. He cried to Sima Yue. I'm here to try. Guo Pei Pei said. Fatty Chu passed the soil to her, and she placed it on the big rock. Under Sima Yue's reminder, she attacked with all her might. Bang dash, the big rock was smashed into powder. Everyone gathered around. Fatty Chu dug into the stone powder a few times, and everyone saw that the mud was still intact. Even a spirit paragon's attack was useless against it. This time, even Guo Pei Pei was shocked. She picked up the soil again and looked at it carefully, saying, I've seen normal materials for refining weapons before, but I've never seen one as hard as this. My full strength attack didn't even leave a mark on it. Haha, treasure, treasure, Fatty Chu said excitedly. If I can infuse this into my spiritual energy, it will definitely increase the strength of my spiritual energy. You should think of a way to break it into powder first. Otherwise, you won't be able to use it even if you have it. Ouyang Fei reminded the happy Fatty Chu. I'll think of a way. Fatty Chu was not worried. Guo Pei Pei looked at the soil in her hand, and then looked at Sima Yue, asking, Young Master Sima, this soil is so hard. How did you break it down? Chapter 351. I wasn't the one who knocked it down. Sima Yue spread her hands helplessly. Previously, she had even been mocked by Emosha because of this. If it wasn't for Ling Long, she might still be staring at the mud in a daze. You didn't knock it down? The Guo family members looked around. There was no one else here other than her. Hee, it's me. Ling Long appeared out of nowhere and climbed onto her head. She looked at everyone with a smile. Who is she? The members of the Guo family saw Ling Long's petite appearance and knew that she was not human. But to be able to change into such a state, it was definitely not something ordinary. Sima Yue reached out and took Ling Long down, saying, She's a weapon spirit. I got her by chance, but I don't have any skills now, so I can only use it as a hammer. As she spoke, she took out the hammer that Ling Long had transformed into. Hammer? The Guo family looked at Sima Yue. A spiritual weapon with a spirit must be of a high grade, right? But she used it as a hammer? What a waste of God's gift. Seeing this hammer, Wei Ziqi and the rest laughed. The first time they saw it, This Ling Long wasn't even a hammer. Whenever they thought about how Sima Yue had saved them with a frying pan, they couldn't help but want to laugh. Only later did they find out that the frying pan had such an amazing origin. When the Guo family saw that Sima Yue did not intend to talk about Ling Long, they stopped asking. Fatty, these were all broken by Exquisite. I'm just helping you collect them, Sima Yue said. You've collected a lot? Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yue and suddenly widened his eyes. He pointed at the pit and said, Don't tell me that this pit was formed after you collected it. What? You think it's too much? Then I'll pour some away, Sima Yue said. Ow, 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 don't. I won't complain no matter how much you give me. Fatty Chu hugged Sima Yue and shouted. Fatty, this thing is really good. Next time I ask you to help me refine something, can you add some into it? Guo Liang walked over and said, Where would I have the chance to refine a spirit weapon for you? Fatty Chu said, Why not? You will definitely go up there in the future, and so will we. Maybe there will be a chance in the future. Guo Liang said. Guo Fu walked over and said, Young Master Sima, can you give me some of this soil? Do you need it? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Guo Fu nodded and said, Before I came in, I found a weapon refiner to help me refine weapons. He said that if he could find a hard material, he could refine a better spirit weapon for me. All right. Sima Yue took out a box and poured some sand out before passing it to her. Thank you. Guo Fu took the box and looked at Sima Yue gratefully. Guo Pei Pei saw that Sima Yue did not hesitate to give some to her sister, and her impression of her improved. In their continent, there were many strong youths, but there were not many who were strong and had good character. She looked at the crowd and said, We plan to go see the place where the two spirit beasts fought last night. Do you all want to go together? Sima Yue and the rest looked at each other and finally nodded, saying, We also plan to go there. We don't know what's there, so let's go take a look. All right. Thus, Sima Yue and the rest sat on Little Rock while the Guo family sat on their flying beasts. The group of them flew towards the place where the fight took place last night. Before they even got close to the place, the Guo family members who were flying in front suddenly flew towards the ground. Sima Yue and the rest were a little suspicious, but still followed. What's wrong? Wei Ziqi looked at Guo Pei Pei and asked. There are many people in front. If we fly over, we may cause unnecessary trouble, Guo Pei Pei said. After becoming a spirit paragon, Guo Pei Pei's senses were much stronger than the average person, so she could sense what was going on in front. Sima Yue also sensed that there were many people in front and said, Since it's like this, let's walk over. Of course, when they said walk, they did not really mean to walk over slowly with 2 legs. They called out their spirit beasts and walked on land. Thus, everyone called out their spirit beasts. Needless to say, the Guo family members all had spirit beasts. But who would have thought that Sima Yue and the rest would also call out their spirit beasts? Since when did spirit beasts become as common as cabbages? Let's go. Sima Yue patted Yaguang and led the rest of the group out. When they were some distance away, Guo Liang retracted his gaze and said, Are they really from the Yilin continent? Why do I feel that they are about the same as the powers in our continent? That's right, they are doing better than the average person in our continent. Another Guo family youth said. There are array masters, weapon masters, and everyone has a spirit beast. Some even have more than one, and even have divine weapons. This kind of power is indeed impressive, Guo Pei Pei said. However, only the Yilin continent is restricted by the rules and cannot advance to the divine rank. Seeing how shocked they were, they should be from there. If the other people in our continent saw them, I wonder how shocked they would be, Guo Fu said with a smile. Isn't that so? If we meet Wei Ziqi and the rest, I wonder if they will still look down on the people from the other continents. Guo Liang said. I heard that Yun Feng and the rest have also come to the Little Realm. I wonder if we will meet them, Guo Fu said. Guo Pei Pei sighed and said, They are just in front. I can already feel their aura. Also, the Zhan family members are also there. They brought quite a few people this time. When we meet them later, you must avoid conflict with them. Do you understand? Understood, big sister. The few of them replied. Let's go. We have been left far behind by them, Gua Pei said as she sat on her spirit beast and ran forward. The Gua family members followed closely behind and quickly caught up with Sima Yue and the rest. The group of people crossed the mountains and very quickly arrived at the place where the two spirit beasts had fought last night. Many of the nearby mountains were directly flattened, and the vegetation within a radius of a few miles was also destroyed. It was a complete mess. Looking at the traces left behind, the battle last night must have been very intense. Fatty Chu sighed. Is that the snow wolf from last night? Wei Ziqi pointed at a huge snow wolf that was resting on the only mountain peak. It should be, Gua Pei said. There aren't any treasures here. Why are there so many people gathered here? Guo Liang looked at the mountain full of people and asked suspiciously. Gua Pei and the rest were also puzzled. Logically speaking, for such a situation to occur, it should mean that some kind of treasure was about to appear. However, when they came here, other than seeing many people, they did not see anything special. Chapter 352. Wei Ziqi looked at those people and said, I think those people are the same as us, attracted by the fight last night. Then they don't know what's here? Aren't they afraid of being torn apart by the snow wolf? Fatty Chu said, If it's just one snow wolf, it's not that scary. Gua Pei said, There are many people from other continents. Many of them are spiritual venerables, and with their contracted beasts, they might be able to put up a fight. Didn't they say that only those under 100 years old and below the divine rank could enter? How can someone at this age reach the rank of a spirit paragon? Sima Yulu asked. In the Yilin continent, becoming a spirit elder before the age of 100 was already considered very powerful. Moreover, after reaching the level of a spirit elder, the rate of growth would be even slower. It might take a few years, or even a dozen years, for a spirit elder to increase by one level. But the people outside had reached the level of a high-level spiritual elder before they were 100 years old. How amazing was that? Seeing Fatty Chu and the rest shocked expressions, which didn't seem to be an act, the Gua family really believed that they were from the Yilin continent. Our clan has a great uncle who ascended to the deity level when he was 100 years old, Guo Liang said. He was directly chosen by the higher-ups, and after ascending, he went to the higher-ups. PFFF. Ascended to the divine realm at the age of 100. Yeah, but compared to the people above, this kind of talent isn't considered good. Guo Liang said, because their ancestral uncle had come back before. They knew some things about the primordial lands. Sima Yuli's mouth twitched. Entering the divine rank at 100 years old, this wasn't good enough. The people up there were born spiritual paragons. If they weren't, they would be deemed as trash. Guo Liang said, if those people can't reach the divine level by the age of 50, they will be deemed as having average talent. A 50-year-old deity. No wonder you guys said that we shouldn't go up immediately even if we've reached the celestial tier. This level of strength is indeed not enough. Sima Yue sighed. Their starting point is higher than ours, so it's normal for them to be stronger than us. Gua Pei said. Big sister's talent is even higher than granduncle's. She will definitely advance to the divine rank before she turns 100. Gua Fu said with a smile. Pep will naturally enter the divine level before the age of 100. A domineering and unyielding voice rang out from the side, attracting their attention. Sima Yue and the rest looked over and saw a man in a long black robe walking over. Behind him were all men in black. Gua Pei didn't look happy when she saw them. She didn't greet them. The man walked over and stood beside Gua Pei, saying, Pei is destined to be my woman in the future. No matter what, I will let you advance to the divine rank before you turn 100. When Sima Yue and the rest heard what the man said, they looked at the two of them curiously. This man is Gua Pei's boyfriend? However, looking at the man's appearance, he seemed to be very domineering and not easy to get along with. And judging from Gua Pei's expression, she didn't seem to like him. As expected, Zhang Jinshin, you and I are not engaged. You can't talk nonsense. Be careful of your tongue. Gua Pei said coldly. Haha, Pei. My father has already promised me that when we get out of here, He will send someone to the Gua family to propose marriage. Do you think that your family members will reject me? Zhang Jinshin laughed loudly. Zhang Jinshin, don't think that you can do whatever you want just because your ancestor has become the assistant pavilion master of the Sage Pavilion. Our granduncle is from the Divine Devil Valley. Guafu couldn't stand Zhang Jinshin's arrogance and said. Sima Yue and Bei Gong Tang looked at each other. They didn't think that their ancestor had entered the Divine Devil Valley. It seemed that they had some connections. Your granduncle is only in the outer valley of the Divine Devil Valley. He's not considered a core disciple. Our ancestor is the assistant pavilion master of the Sage Pavilion. Your Gua family has already been left behind by our Zhan family. A Zhan family member said. Now that my big brother is willing to marry your big sister, it's already giving you face. Don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. I want to see how you will force us to drink a forfeit. Gua Peipei looked at that person coldly. The aura she emitted was not any weaker than those of the upper echelons. Wu Xian, don't talk to Peipei like that. Zhang Jinshin said. Yes, big brother. Zhang Jinshin had a high prestige in this group of people. Once he opened his mouth, these people didn't dare to disrespect Gua Peipei. Peipei, I really like you. Other than me, who else can match up to you? Now even Yin Feng has to retreat when he sees me. Zhang Jinshin said proudly. Gua Peipei didn't have time to speak before a lazy voice interrupted. Is that so? Fenger, when did you become so useless that you don't even dare to meet the Zhan family members? Sima Yue had long seen this group of people walking along the slope. She didn't think that they were actually from the same continent as Gua Peipei. The white-robed man in the lead was prettier than a woman. His long black hair was casually tied behind his back. He looked elegant with a trace of laziness. Behind him was a blue-robed youth with a grave and stern face. When he heard his brother's words, he said faintly, I don't know either. That expression, that tone, it was as if he didn't put Zhang Jinshin in his eyes. The Gua family members saw them and smiled. It seemed that they were very happy to meet them. On the other hand, the Zhan family members' expressions were not so good. They looked as if they had eaten a dead fly. Oh, so you don't know either. Yuni said faintly. If that's the case, then you can compete with the Zhan family's genius. See if you're much weaker than him. If you are, remember to back off next time. Okay. Yin Feng nodded and looked at Zhang Jinshin. Zhang Jinshin didn't dare to compete with Yin Feng here. Yin Feng was 2 levels higher than him. Just you wait. He left behind a ruthless sentence and left with the Zhan family members. TSK cowards. Guo Liang pointed at the Zhan family's back and made a gesture of disdain. Brother Yuni, weren't you up there? Why are you here? Gua Peipei looked at Yuni and asked with a smile. Yuni patted Gua Peipei's head and said, Peipei has grown so big. You've become so slender and elegant. Gua Peipei's face darkened. I was already grown up when you left. Back then, you were all grown up. But you still looked like a little girl. Now you look like a big sister. Yuni laughed. Gua Peipei slapped his hand away and said, You haven't answered my question. Weren't you chosen by the Divine Devil Valley? Why are you back? The Valley Lord said that I had touched the threshold of the divine rank, but I couldn't cross it. So he asked me to walk around. When I returned home, I happened to encounter this matter, so I came along to play. Yuni said, Oh right, your great uncle knew that I was coming down, so he asked me to bring you some things. Chapter 353. What good things did granduncle bring us? Guoliang asked. No matter how bad the things brought down from above were, they would still be better than the things from these continents. Moreover, would something from the Divine Devil Valley be bad? Yuni saw Guoliang's anxious look and said, What's the hurry? You're already so old, but you're still like this. Hee. Guoliang scratched the back of his head and said, Brother Yuni, you always like to keep me in suspense. It's nothing more than some pills, spirit artifacts, and some single-use formations. You don't need anything else. Yuni took out a spatial ring and handed it to Gua Peipei. Everything is in here. Gua Peipei took the spatial ring and injected her spiritual energy into it. When she saw the things inside, she was stunned. After a while, she reacted and said, Granduncle is from outside the valley. How can he have so many good things? Last time, your granduncle performed a meritorious service. These things should be the rewards given to him by the valley. And when I left, I heard that your granduncle might become an Inner Valley disciple. Yuni said. Really? The Gua family was very happy to hear this news. If their granduncle could enter the Inner Valley, their family's status would also rise. Yuni nodded. That's great. Guafu jumped up in excitement. Yuni looked at their happy faces and turned her gaze to the side. She asked, These people are not from your family, are they? See, I forgot to introduce you. Gua Pei Pei slapped her forehead and said, These are the friends we met yesterday. This is Wei Ziqi, Ouyang Fei Fatty Beigong Tang Little Tu, Sima Yu Lu and Sima Yu Yu. Hearing Sima Yu Yu's name, Yuni's eyes flashed. Yilan continent Sima Yu Wei? Yuni Gid, you know her? Gua Pei Pei and the others were very surprised. They didn't say that she was from the Yilan continent, did they? When Yuni saw the ring on Sima Yu Yu's hand, she paused and bowed towards her, saying, Yun Valley disciple Yuni greets Junior Valley Master. Everyone was stunned by his bow, and they all turned to look at Sima Yu Yu. Get up. Sima Yu rubbed her nose. Wasn't that right? Thank you, Junior Valley Master. Yuni stood up straight and sized up Sima Yu. Brother Yuni, you called her Junior Valley Master? Guafu looked at the two of them in disbelief. Yes. She is one of the two Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. Yuni said. But aren't Yue and the others from the Yilan continent? How did she become a Junior Valley Master? Guoliang asked. A while ago, the second Valley Master came back and announced that he had found a successor. The Blood Ring has already acknowledged her, and she will be our Junior Valley Master in the future. Yuni said. As long as you see the Junior Valley Master, all the elders in the Divine Devil Valley have to bow. Wow! So Yue is the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. Damn, this identity is amazing. When you go up, who would dare to bully you? Guoliang laughed. Even the Yin family members didn't expect to meet the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley here. From their point of view, the Divine Devil Valley was a very mysterious power, and the Junior Valley Master should be even more mysterious. Now that he suddenly appeared in front of them, they were not used to it. The originally harmonious atmosphere was a little stiff, especially the Gua family members who didn't know how to get along with them. Sima Yue laughed and said, I've never been to the Divine Devil Valley, and don't know what it's like. This Junior Valley Master is just a title. Whatever we were like before, we will be the same in the future. I'm not used to you guys being like this. Hihi, I think it's about the same too. Guoliang said. Sima Yue looked at Yuni, and suddenly thought of the rules here. She said in surprise, Yuni, you're not even 100 years old? I'm 90 this year. Yuni said. You went to the Divine Devil Valley before you reached the divine rank? Yes. Yuni replied. Yuni, Gij's ability to sense space is very strong, and coincidentally met an elder who went to the Restless Continent. That elder happened to be an array master and saw Yuni, Gij's talent, so he brought him to the Divine Devil Valley. Yuni, Gij has been there for 30 years. Gua Pei Pei explained. 90 years old. Sima Yue thought of the 90-year-old people on Earth, and then looked at the 90-year-old person in front of her. She sighed in her heart that it was really not the same world. The 90-year-old people here felt like their life had just begun, while the 90-year-old people on Earth felt like they were at the end of their lives. Hihi, in this case, how old am I on Earth? She laughed in her heart. Awoo. The snow wolf on the opposite peak suddenly howled, giving everyone a shock. What's wrong? Everyone didn't know why the snow wolf suddenly howled. It's calling for its companions. Wei Ziqi said. It's probably because it sees more and more people here and feels danger, so it's calling for its companions. Gua Pei Pei said. But there's no treasure here. Sima Yue said. Little Tu pulled on Sima Yue's clothes and said, Brother, I feel it. There's a treasure here. Do you know what it is? Fatty Chu asked. Little Tu shook his head and pointed down the cliff, saying, It's in the stone there. In the stone? Could it be the stone skeleton flower? Someone from the Yin family said. Isn't the stone skeleton flower something that only exists in legends? Everyone was shocked. Yu, What kind of treasure is the stone skeleton flower? Fatty Chu looked at everyone's shocked expression, as if they were the only ones who didn't know. The stone skeleton flower can revive the dead flesh and bones. Sima Yue said. Sima Yu Lo and the others gasped. There was such a plant in this world. According to the ancient books, even if you have died, as long as you consume the stone skeleton flower, you will be reborn. Guapei added. It's that powerful? Fatty Chu said. Such an important treasure, should we take it just in case? The stone skeleton flower is not so easy to obtain. Sima Yue said. The older stone skeleton flower can become a spirit and move on its own. Because it lives in the stone, you may not be able to see it, but it has already disappeared. How can it move in the stone? The way an earthworm moves in the soil, it moves in the same way in the stone. Sima Yue said. Very quickly, many snow wolves swarmed over and waited at the top of the mountain and at the bottom of the cliff. Many people saw that so many divine beasts had come and wanted to retreat. If they didn't see this thing, there was no need to stay here and take the risk. At this time, a fragrance filled the air. That fragrance made those who were about to leave stop in their tracks. For it to emit this kind of fragrance, it was definitely not an ordinary treasure. There were some who knew what it was and shouted after smelling the fragrance. Stone skeleton flower. This is definitely the fragrance of the stone skeleton flower. Chapter 354. What kind of flower is the stone skeleton flower? The person who was traveling with the man asked. Stone skeleton flower. The person on the other side excitedly explained the effects of the stone skeleton flower to his companions. But he did not expect the people around him to overhear him as well. When those people heard that it was a legendary treasure, they all stopped and stared at the cliff with burning eyes. They wanted to see if they could find the stone skeleton flower. Big brother, these snow wolves are not weak. Should we go and fight them? Yin Feng was not blinded by the stone skeleton flower. He looked at Uni and asked. Uni did not say anything and looked at Sima Yue. Sima Yue was baffled by her stare. She then understood that Uni was now a member of the Divine Devil Valley. She had to seek her opinion before making a decision. You don't have to worry about me. Do whatever you want. She shrugged and said. Doesn't the Junior Valley Master want to fight for it? Uni asked. Don't call me Junior Valley Master. Just call me Yue. Sima Yue waved her hand. She was not used to people calling her that. Everyone wants the stone skeleton flower. You don't have to worry about me. Everyone will rely on their own abilities. Whoever gets it will get it. Although the Yin family knew that Sima Yue was the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley, they still didn't really believe in their abilities. After all, they came from the Yilin continent, and that continent's abilities were much weaker than the other continents. Even Uni thought so, but she was still the Junior Valley Master of the Divine Devil Valley. If she was in trouble, he had to help her. Only the Gua family believed that Sima Yue was not boasting. They had the ability to fight for it. Yu, why don't you let me help you dig out that stone skeleton flower? Exquisite said as she pulled on Sima Yue's hair. Are you confident? Sima Yue tilted her head and asked. Of course. Exquisite patted her chest and said. Just wait for me here. I will definitely get the stone skeleton flower for you. When he was in the spirit pagoda, he saw that little Roar and the others had done many things for Sima Yue. He had always wanted to do something to make his presence known. Since he had met her this time, he naturally wanted to perform well. Then be careful, Sima Yue said. Since they had decided not to go, Sima Yue brought the few of them to find a place to sit down and rest. The Gua clan and Yun clan sat together to discuss their plan. They wanted to see how they could snatch the stone skeleton flower from the hands of so many people. Half a day later, the snow wolf on the mountain suddenly stood up and howled towards the sky. At the same time, an even more intense fragrance assaulted his nostrils. The stone skeleton flower has fully bloomed. Sima Yue said, Linglong, be careful. Don't get hurt. If you can't handle it, call us. I got it. You leave it to me. Exquisite said as she flew up from her shoulder, ready to attack at any time. The flower has bloomed. The people in the distance saw the white flower petals that suddenly appeared in the middle of the cliff, and shouted excitedly. The stone skeleton flower, and the rocks looked similar in color. Only the center of the flower was white. It was especially eye-catching on the cliff. Let's go! Yuni shouted loudly, and led the Yin family to fly over. The Gua family followed closely behind. Gua Pei Pei went over and started fighting with a level 5 divine beast. Seeing this, the others did not want to be outdone. They all flew towards the stone skeleton flower, but were stopped halfway by the snow wolves. Sima Yue was far away from the battlefield and watched the people fight. She saw that many people were directly killed by the divine beasts. Not even a speck of dust was left. This chaotic scene was very similar to the time when they were fighting for the golden snake fruit in the Puluo Mountains. At that time, they were also at the side. Actually, at this time, if they did not have absolute strength, they would only be cannon fodder. However, those people were not willing to give up. They wanted to get a share of the loot. Who knows? They might be able to take advantage of the situation and snatch the treasure when no one was paying attention. Seeing people die continuously, Fatty Chu and the others felt lucky that they did not directly charge in. Otherwise, with their strength, they might not even be able to keep their lives. Not long after the battle started, Ling Long flew out. Because it was very small and did not have any signs of life, not many people noticed it. She turned and turned, avoiding the aftermath of the battle, and slowly approached the stone skeleton flower. Although Sima Yue did not go, she kept an eye on Ling Long. When she saw that Ling Long sent people flying with her hammer, she could not help but twitch her mouth. Looks like Yue. If you can't beat people in a battle in the future, you can just throw Ling Long out. I guarantee that they will be smashed into meat paste. Wei Ziqi and the others laughed and teased. That's a good idea. Sima Yue nodded seriously, as if she had really taken their advice to heart. Yuni, who was in the middle of battle, saw Ling Long send a spirit paragon flying with her hammer. Her eyes flashed with surprise, but the battle did not allow her to be distracted. Awoo! The snow wolf also saw Ling Long approaching. Because it was being pestered by Yuni, it became anxious. You despicable humans, every time you come in, you try to steal our treasure. This time, all of you will die. The snow wolf said as it pushed Yuni away with its paw. It retreated a few dozen meters and closed its eyes to sense its surroundings. Wei Ziqi and the others felt something cold falling down. When they reached out to catch it, they realized that it was actually snowflakes. It's snowing. Everyone looked up at the snowflakes and forgot to attack. Many people were injured by the snow wolf because they were distracted for a moment. The temperature of the entire mountain range dropped rapidly. The lush green mountain range suddenly turned into a scene of thousands of miles of ice. We've been frozen. Everyone in the valley shouted. Many of the weaker people had been frozen into ice. Ling Long was no exception. The moment she touched the stone skeleton flower, she was frozen and her whole body froze beside the flower. Not good. Sima Yue saw that the snow wolf had injured Yuni, and then turned to attack Ling Long. Ling Long was a weapon spirit. If she was injured, it would have a huge impact on this divine weapon. This was because a divine weapon could not be healed just by eating some pills. It would require materials of the same level to heal. Chongming, go and save Ling Long. Chongming appeared and immediately attacked the snow wolf. The pressure of a sacred beast caused the snow wolf and the spirit elder to be unable to move. Sacred beast. Everyone looked at Chongming in disbelief. They saw him fly across the sky and grab the snow wolf king and throw it to the side. He then landed on the edge of the cliff and shattered the ice on Ling Long's body. He caught her with one hand and the stone skeleton flower with the other, uprooting it. Chongming. Ling Long saw Chongming and smiled as she hugged his long hair that was hanging in front of his chest. Let's go back. Chongming let her lie on his shoulder, and then flew back to Sima Yue. Chapter 355. Sima Yue heaved a sigh of relief when she saw that Ling Long had returned unscathed. She hugged her and asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine. That kind of frost can't hurt me. I'm just trapped for a while." Exquisite said. "Here. Chongming passed the stone skeleton flower to Sima Yue. Sima Yue took out a box and pretended to keep it. In fact, she had thrown it into the spirit pagoda and handed it over to Little Spirit. Little Spirit was able to separate different environments according to the needs of each medicinal herb. As long as the roots were planted, the stone bone huahua would be plucked, and it would continue to grow in the future. The snow wolf was injured by Chongming, and its innate ability was lost. The ice and snow began to melt, and the frozen people were freed. Sacred beast? How is this possible? How can a sacred beast appear here? Snow Wolf looked at Chongming in disbelief. With a sacred beast around, no one dared to fight for the stone skeleton flower. They quickly distanced themselves from the other snow wolves to avoid another battle. It really is a sacred beast. Someone looked at Chongming and muttered, "How did he get in? Didn't they say that only spiritual venerables and below could enter?" That's right. When we came in, I saw a few god-rank people trying to mix in with the crowd, but they were all blocked outside by the rules. How did this sacred beast come in? He's that person's contracted beast. Someone noticed the difference. A humanoid sacred beast became a human's contract beast? Really? Just who is that person to actually have a sacred beast as a contract beast? No wonder this sacred beast was able to enter. As long as it became a contracted beast, it would not be affected by the rules here. As long as their master's strength doesn't exceed the deity level, they won't have any problems. To actually have a sacred beast as a contract beast, this person is really too powerful. This person's background must be very powerful. I saw them with Guapepe and the others just now. They should be from the restless continent. I think they might have come from the primordial lands. Only those from the primordial lands would be able to do such a thing. Chongming did not pay attention to these discussions. He turned to look at them and said, "You can leave." Even though they were unwilling in their hearts, they did not dare to go against his words. One by one they left dejectedly. However, the snow wolves remained where they were, and had no intention of leaving. "You're not leaving?" Sima Yue looked at Snow Wolf and asked. The Snow Wolf King looked at Sima Yue and said, "I need the stone skeleton flower in your hands. If I can't get it, I'd rather die with you." Sima Yue looked at the Snow Wolf with a determined gaze and asked, "What do you want this for?" "Our previous king was injured and needed this to heal him," Snow Wolf said. The Snow Wolf King should be very powerful. How did he get injured? Fatty Chu asked. "We have been fighting with the saber-toothed tigers for a long time. Our king was injured by their king, and his life is in danger. We had no choice but to seal its body. If we didn't have this herb, it wouldn't have been able to come back to life. Our Snow Wolf clan would have been exterminated by the saber-toothed tiger forever." Snow Wolf said, "Why are you telling us all this? Do you think we'll give you the treasure that we already have?" Sima Yue felt that this Snow Wolf was rather daring. "Your eyes don't have the greed of those people. My intuition tells me that we can try." Snow Wolf said, "Furthermore, we won't let you give it to us for free. We can give you a reward." "Reward? What reward can you give us? Don't tell me you're going to give us a few snow wolves to form a contract with?" Fatty Chu said with a grin. "No." Snow Wolf shook its head. "I know that many of you came here to increase your strength. We can provide you with a place to cultivate. That place will allow your strength to increase quickly. Furthermore, I only need the flower petals. I'll leave the rest to you." Sima Yue and Bei Gongtang discussed for a while, and felt that it was feasible. They said, "All right, I can promise you. However, we have to go and see if the place you mentioned is worth it." Snow Wolf looked at Chongming and nodded. All right. They had no choice but to believe them. At this moment, the Gua clan and Yin clan walked over. They were the only ones who hadn't left the entire valley. "Junior Valley Master, do you really want to go with them?" Yuni asked. Sima Yue nodded. "You don't have to follow me. Bring the Yin clan to look for opportunities. Young Lady Gua, we'll part ways here." Gua Pei Pei and the others knew that Sima Yue and the others had the confidence to go to the Snow Wolf clan. They didn't say much, and only said a few words of farewell. After that, they watched them leave the valley with the snow wolves. Yuni waved the fan in her hand and said to herself, No wonder he was chosen as the successor by the second Valley Lord. His luck is much better than the average person's. Brother, what did you say? Yunfeng didn't hear clearly and asked. Nothing much. Yuni kept her fan and knocked on Yunfeng's head, saying, work hard and cultivate. Strive to go up as soon as possible. Do you understand? I understand. Yunfeng replied. Brother Yuni, let's leave this place too. Guapei said. I have a feeling that when young Master Sima and the others come out, their strength will definitely increase a lot. Sima Yue and the others followed the snow wolves and left the valley. She called out Little Rock, and followed the snow wolves running on the ground to where they lived. After half a day, they actually arrived at a snow mountain. It's actually a snow mountain. Sima Yue said in surprise when he saw the snow mountain. This place is not very far from the previous place. I didn't expect the climate to be so different. Sima Yue and the others got down from Little Rock, and the snow wolves ran over at this moment. This is our clan's land, the snow wolves said. The place that we provided for you is in the center of our clan's land. I'll take you there. Okay. Sima Yue nodded. They walked on the snow mountain. After crossing a few snow mountains, they came to a saddle. King, you're back. King, did you find the ingredients? King, these humans are? Along the way, they saw many snow wolves. It turned out that these were not very strong. Some of the snow wolves were only saint beasts, and some were only spirit beasts. Seeing the surprise on their faces, the Snow Wolf King explained, we can only grow to the peak of divine beasts here. We will never be able to enter the ranks of sacred beasts. Although we have lived here for a long time, it is very difficult for us to advance. Many of our clansmen are not very strong. Many times, I feel that I can break through to sacred beast, but I fail every time. Later on, we understand that it is not that we are not strong enough, but that we are suppressed here. Then your strength should be stronger than the spirit beasts outside, right? Sima Yue asked. Chapter 356. You're right, the Snow Wolf King said. In the past, when people came in, we fought with their contracted beasts. We were stronger than those contracted beasts. How long ago did someone come in? Wei Ziqi asked. I forgot. It was a long time ago, the Snow Wolf King said. Although we advance very slowly, the strength in our bodies is greater than other spirit beasts. You are already at the pinnacle of divine beast. What will happen if you are unable to become a sacred beast? Sima Yue asked. I can feel the power in my body growing, but I will never be able to advance. Thus, my lifespan can only be the same as an ordinary divine beast. If he doesn't die in battle, then he will die of old age. The Snow Wolf King said helplessly. Have you never thought of going out? Once you leave this place, you won't be restricted by the rules, and can become a sacred beast or even a higher rank. Wei Ziqi said. Why haven't I thought about it? The Snow Wolf King said. I once heard from my elders that every time someone came in, we would try to find a way to get out, but it was all in vain. Those humans just disappeared in front of our eyes, and we couldn't use their passage to leave. Or is it because of the rules? Ouyang Fei asked. I think so. The Snow Wolf King sighed. If you could get out, would you be willing? If we want to be humans contracted beasts, we'd rather stay here forever, the Snow Wolf King said firmly. It had seen spirit beasts form contracts with humans, and then leave this place. However, if they had to do this, they would rather not leave. What if it's not a contract? Sima Yue asked. You have a plan? Snow Wolf King asked. There is a way, but you will have to pay a certain price. After all, you have to pay a price for what you gain, Sima Yue said. The Snow Wolf King stopped and looked at Sima Yue. That depends on whether the sacrifice is worth it. Sima Yue had always known that snow wolves were an arrogant species. Now it seemed like she was right. The reason why it had lowered its head and wanted to exchange the stone skeleton flower with her was probably because it wanted to save its previous king. Do you think it's worth it to exchange your freedom for a period of time? Sima Yue said with a smile. How long is that? The Snow Wolf King asked hesitantly. 100 years. Sima Yue said. If you can become a sacred beast or something, 100 years is just a small part of your life. However, you will be able to obtain a longer period of freedom because of this. Also, I won't ask you to do too many things. I just need your help when I need it. The Snow Wolf King glanced at Chongming. Indeed, she had a sacred beast. They might not even be able to enter her eyes. I need to discuss this with my clansmen, the Snow Wolf King said. No problem. We still have a year before we leave, Sima Yue said. After that, the Snow Wolf King stopped talking about it. He introduced the place to them as they walked. We're here. The Snow Wolf King stopped again and pointed at a cave. It let everyone in. After passing through a tunnel, they began to walk down. Soon, they arrived at a spacious underground karst cave. It's here, the Snow Wolf King said. Sima Yue and the others looked around. The moment they entered, they could feel the dense spiritual energy. The spiritual energy seemed to be attracted by something, and all flowed towards the pool. If you cultivate in this pool, you will be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort, the Snow Wolf King said. This is the best place for Ziqi to cultivate. Sima Yue said. But for fourth bro, it's not very good. Wei Ziqi was of the ice attribute, while Sima Yulu was of the fire attribute. This place was cold to the bone, and did not have much fire attribute. Do you need the fire attribute? The Snow Wolf King asked. That's right. My fourth bro, and the others are of the fire attribute. Sima Yue said. I know where the fire attribute is. It's opposite of where we are. The Snow Wolf King said. Where is it? The saber-toothed tiger clan's territory. The Snow Wolf King said. We are of the water and ice attributes. They are of the fire attribute. Saber-toothed tiger? Your enemy? You want us to help you get rid of the saber-toothed tiger clan? Sima Yue said with narrowed eyes. The Snow Wolf King's eyes flashed with embarrassment. The noble snow wolves actually had to use such a scheme to get rid of their enemy. This was really embarrassing. You need the cultivation ground over there. This is a win-win situation. I can consider it. Sima Yue said. But we'll talk about it after we settle your matters here. Right now, let's go and see your previous king. The Snow Wolf King saw Sima Yue acting this way, and did not know what she was thinking. He did not say anything more and brought them away. After leaving the underground cave, they saw a pack of old wolves outside, as soon as they came to the surface. King. Seeing the Snow Wolf King, they lowered their heads and bowed. Even you have been alerted. The Snow Wolf King looked at the old wolves with a respectful attitude. It seemed that these old wolves were of high status in the Snow Wolf clan. Yes, after hearing about this, we had no choice but to come out. The leader of the pack said. I have something to discuss with you. The Snow Wolf King said. Now let's go and save Sky. Sima Yue and the rest followed the Snow Wolf King to a mountain peak not far away. On the mountain peak, there was a crystal coffin. Our king is there, the Snow Wolf King said as he pointed at the crystal coffin. Sima Yue took a closer look and realized that it was not a coffin. It was the previous Snow Wolf King Sky, who was sealed in ice. What do you want to do? Sima Yue asked. Remove the seal and feed him this flower and the herbs that we prepared. The Snow Wolf King said. If you feed him the herbs directly, the effects might not be as good. Sima Yue said. We know, but without us we can't make pills. This is the only way. The Snow Wolf King said. I can make healing pills for you. Sima Yue said. Really? The Snow Wolf King looked at Sima Yue. You're an alchemist? That's right. Sima Yue said. I can take a look at your herbs and decide what kind of pills to make for you. The Snow Wolf King looked at the old wolves and communicated with them in wolf language. Then he said okay. Thus, everyone moved to the place where the wolf clan kept their herbs. But this time, only Sima Yue and Chongming were there. The others were invited to rest elsewhere. Sima Yue saw the wolf clan's herb storage and was shocked. There were many herbs that were not even in the spirit pagoda. The treasures were thrown together randomly. Some of them were even eaten by the wolf cubs, leaving only a small half on the ground. Chapter 357. How is it? Can these herbs be used to make pills? Snow Wolf King asked. Sima Yue came back to her senses and said, although the ingredients are not complete, we have the main ingredients. I can provide the rest of the herbs, but I want half of the refined pills. As long as you can save Sky, you can have the rest, the Snow Wolf King said. All right, then I'll make the necessary preparations. Seeing that the Snow Wolf King was so straightforward, he didn't delay any further. He went to pick out a few herbs and said, let's go. Sima Yue left the snow mountain and went outside with the Snow Wolf King following her. She started to concoct pills. Half a day later, the pill was successfully concocted. With the help of the pill that could restore spiritual energy, she successfully concocted a 6th grade pill. All right, she wiped the sweat off her face and with a pale face, divided the 4 pills into 2 halves. She gave 2 of them to the Snow Wolf King and kept the other 2 for herself. The Snow Wolf King had been watching her concoct the pill the entire time. When he saw that she had placed 2 petals of the stone skeleton flower into the pill, he saw that she was exhausted. He knew that it was difficult for her to concoct the pill. So he said, you can go to the cultivation area to recover your spiritual energy. Sima Yue did not refuse. She let Chongming carry her to the karst cave. She sat cross-legged beside the pool and began to cultivate. It had to be said that the speed of cultivation here was much faster than in other places. The spiritual qi in her body had been completely exhausted. If she wanted to fully recover, she would need at least a day. However, she only spent half a day here to achieve the same result. When she opened her eyes, she saw Chongming staring blankly at a wall. Chongming, what are you looking at? Chongming pointed to the wall and said, this wall is a bit strange. Sima Yue stood up and came to his side asking, what's so strange about it? There are strange fluctuations inside. Chongming said, strange waves? Sima Yue sensed it carefully and said, it does seem a little different. Is there an empty space behind the wall? It should be, Chongming said, or rather it's not a wall at all but a boundary. Barrier. Sima Yue walked over in astonishment. She stretched out her hand to touch the wall, and it did not feel like she was touching a stone wall. Should we go and take a look? She was curious about what was behind them, and looked back at Chongming. I don't think we can make it this time. Chongming said, someone is coming. Sima Yue heard the sound of footsteps approaching, and a snow wolf walked in. When the snow wolf saw Sima Yue's energetic appearance, it was shocked. You've recovered? Yes. What's the matter? Sima Yue asked. The king said that the previous king has already woken up. He told me to check on you and wait for you to come out so that I can bring you over. The snow wolf said. Let's go then. Sima Yue and the others arrived at a huge cave. This cave was decorated like a human palace. There were many treasures inside, but because they did not know the value of these treasures, they were placed very messily. When she entered, she saw Fatty Chu drooling over some stones. It seemed like he had found some treasures. Wei Ziqi and the others were sitting on chairs and chatting with the Snow Wolf King. On the stone platform behind the Snow Wolf King, a snow wolf was lying on it, resting with its eyes closed. Seeing Sima Yue enter, the Snow Wolf King said, I thought that I would have to wait for a day. I didn't expect you to recover so quickly. That place is not bad for cultivating. Sima Yue nodded at the Snow Wolf King. She looked at the snow wolf behind him and asked, is this your previous king? Firmament opened his eyes and looked at Sima Yue. You saved me? It's just an exchange of benefits. Sima Yue said. Still thank you. Firmament closed his eyes after speaking. It was obvious that he had not fully recovered. This time, we called you here to tell you that Firmament has already woken up. You can go to the cave to cultivate, the Snow Wolf King said. As for the matter you mentioned before, we still need to discuss it. Where is the saber-toothed tiger's territory? Sima Yue asked. You want to go there? The Snow Wolf King asked. Ziqi and the others will stay here. It's useless for the other fire type to cultivate here. Sima Yue said. You said that the saber-toothed tiger's territory has a similar fire type cultivation ground. I want to bring the others there. The saber-toothed tiger's territory is not far from here. We can point you in the right direction, but we won't bring you there. The Snow Wolf King said. The Snow Wolf, and the saber-toothed tiger were arch-enemies. If they went to the saber-toothed tiger's territory, they might not return alive. No problem, Sima Yue said. Then when are you moving? The Snow Wolf King asked. Now, Sima Yue said. Zichi little two you guys cultivate here. I think that with the Snow Wolf King here, you won't be in any danger. Alright. Wei Zichi and little two nodded. Fourth bro, Fatty Ouyang Bei Gong, let's go to the saber-toothed tiger's territory. Although Fatty, Ouyang Fei, and Bei Gong Tang also had other attributes, the one they used the most was still the fire attribute. Now they had to cultivate the fire attribute first. I'll send someone to escort you guys. Then you can go to the saber-toothed tiger's territory yourselves. The Snow Wolf King said. Thank you very much. The Snow Wolf King called over a level 6 divine beast, and had it bring Sima Yue and the others over. Then, he called over another Snow Wolf to bring Wei Zichi, Little Two, and the others to the cave. After they all left, Firmament opened his eyes. Rong, can they really help us leave this place? Rong was the current Snow Wolf King. Although they lived here, they knew about the outside world. It was passed down from generation to generation from their ancestors. When they knew that there were sacred beasts outside, and even higher ranked than sacred beasts, while they were stuck at the peak of the divine beasts for generations, they began to search for a way to leave. They didn't know how many generations, or even tens of generations of searching, but they found that other than forming a contract with someone, they had no other way to leave this place. The arrogant them were unwilling to choose this path, so they could only continue to stay here. However, they never stopped searching for a way out. They longed to leave, longed to obtain more power, longed to live longer, and longed for their descendants to live in a wider world. Firmament, you saw it. The one by his side is a sacred beast. The Snow Wolf King said. If we leave, then we can break free from the rules here, and we won't be suppressed anymore. But is that person really reliable? In a million years, no one has succeeded. Can he really get us out? An old wolf asked. I want to believe in him. The Snow Wolf King said. I can feel that he's different from the others. When he said that he could get us out, he was very confident. I think he shouldn't be lying to us. Chapter 358. Just as the Snow Wolf clan members were discussing whether they should trust her or leave, Sima Yue and the rest followed the level 6 divine beast and rushed into the distance. After walking for half a day, the divine beast stopped and said to them, I can only send you here. If you go any further, you will be in the saber-toothed tiger's territory. Your territory is so close to the saber-toothed tiger's territory? Sima Yue asked in surprise. Yes, although one is ice and the other is fire, they are not far from each other. We don't know why, but although the two areas are adjacent to each other, they don't affect each other's climate. That divine beast said, You just have to keep walking in this direction. Sima Yue nodded and said, All right, thank you. You can go back. That's what I should do. After the mythological beast finished speaking, it turned around and left. Its speed was much faster than when it came. Sima Yue and the rest sat on Little Rock's back and rushed forward. Before long, they could feel the scorching hot air rushing towards them. This place is really mysterious. It's clearly two extreme climates, and the two places are so close to each other. How could they not affect each other? Fatty Chu asked curiously. Maybe there's something we don't know, Sima Yue said. She thought of the unknown space behind the cave. After flying for another hour, they saw a group of mountains. The mountains were fiery red, and from afar, they looked like balls of fire. Halt! When the saber-toothed tiger on the ground saw Sima Yue and the rest, two wings appeared on its back and it flew into the air. It was Sima Yue's first time seeing such transmogrified wings. She was curious and took a few more glances. Who are you? This is our territory. You are not allowed to pass. The saber-toothed tiger looked at Sima Yue and scolded. Sima Yue retracted her gaze from the wings and said, You're the divine beast guarding the door? Go call your beast king out. Tell him that we have something to discuss with him. Arrogant humans. Do you think my king is someone you can meet just because you want to? The divine beast shouted. Come, capture all of them and hand them over to my king." In an instant, a group of divine beasts flashed from all directions and surrounded Little Rock and the rest. Sima Yue and the rest were not flustered and said, "We are not here to fight today. Chongming, tell them our sincerity." Zhongxian glanced at her and released his pressure. Those mythological beasts in the air were all pressed to the ground. Sima Yue patted Little Rock's back, and Little Rock brought them to the ground. "You are the ones who went to the Snow Wolf clan," the first divine beast shouted. Sima Yue walked over and said, "It seems like you guys are quite well informed. How is it? Can you bring us to see your king now?" Although the saber-toothed tigers were unwilling, they could not say anything in front of a sacred beast. They could only obediently bring them to their clan grounds. Sima Yue and the rest walked in, and the temperature rose. It was a good thing that they all cultivated fire attributes, so it was not that uncomfortable. "Are those mountains volcanoes? Why is it so hot?" Fatty Chu looked at those mountains, and his face was already dripping with sweat. The divine beast turned around and glanced at him. He did not say anything, but he muttered in his heart that this was a volcano. Of course it was hot. The fire attribute energy here is very dense. If we cultivate here, the effect will be very good. Sima Yue said with a smile. The divine beast leading the way almost fell. Was this group of humans here to steal their cultivation resources? "If you continue to dawdle, I will burn all the fur on your body," Sima Yue threatened. The divine beast was enraged when he heard that. Someone actually dared to say that they would burn all his fur? This was intolerable. But when he turned around and saw Chongming beside Sima Yue, his heart was filled with tears. He could not afford to offend him, so he could only endure it. After walking for a long time, Sima Yue and the rest finally passed through the grassland and came to the volcanoes. "The king is on the mountain. I have no right to go up." The divine beast ran away as soon as he finished speaking. Sima Yue and the rest looked at the volcanoes. They did not know how many saber-toothed tigers there were in the mountains. "Who are you people? You actually dare to come to our clan grounds?" A few saber-toothed tigers flew down from the mountains and surrounded them. A few left, and a few more came. "Why do I feel that they all look the same?" Fatty Chu said. "They really look the same," Bei Gong Tang agreed. When the saber-toothed tigers saw that they were not answering their questions, and were even discussing their appearances, they were furious. They wanted to call for someone to deal with these people. But before they could move, they were pressed down by Halcyon. "Go and call your king out," Chongming said lightly, like a proud king who could not be offended. "Sacred beast." Those saber-toothed tigers were incomparably shocked. Didn't this sacred beast go to the Snow Wolf clan? How did it appear here? What are you still standing there for? Do you not want to live anymore? Fatty Chu said. Although those saber-toothed tigers were unwilling, they still flew up the mountain to report to their king. Very quickly, the king of the saber-toothed tigers flew down from the mountain. Seeing his clansmen kneeling on the ground, his eyes flashed with unhappiness. But he still suppressed it and said, "What have you come here for?" "We came here to discuss something with you," Sima Yue said with a smile. "So you don't have to look like you're facing a great enemy." Her words did not make the saber-toothed tiger king relax. Instead, it looked at them even more warily. "What do you want to discuss?" "Naturally, it's something that benefits you," Sima Yue said. "But if you have no ambition and only want to stay here and never step into the ranks of sacred beasts, then there's no need for us to discuss." "What did you say?" The saber-toothed tiger king fiercely turned his head to look at her. "I said if you have ambition and want to leave this place, we can sit down and have a good talk," Sima Yue said with a smile. The saber-toothed tiger king looked at her for half a minute, then gritted his teeth and said, "Let's go up the mountain to talk, please." Sima Yue smiled. It seemed like this saber-toothed tiger king was also a clan that was unwilling to be suppressed forever. She followed the saber-toothed tiger king up the mountain and saw him send people to invite a group of old saber-toothed tigers out of seclusion. She thought that they were like the Snow Wolf clan and had their own ancestors. Very quickly, a group of old saber-toothed tigers came over. Seeing the saber-toothed tiger king and a few people together, They were very surprised and asked, "King, why did you call us out?" The saber-toothed tiger king looked at those old saber-toothed tigers and said, "Clan elder, they want to borrow our cultivation pool." "No way." Before the saber-toothed tiger king could finish his words, he was interrupted by an old man. "The cultivation pool is our clan's sacred ground. How can we let humans use it?" Chapter 359. The saber-toothed tiger king saw how agitated the elder was, and hurriedly comforted her. "They aren't using our cultivation pool for nothing. It will give us some benefits." "That won't do." That elder still did not agree, saying, "Humans are all cunning and despicable things. We definitely won't have any dealings with them. No matter what, we won't agree." "You have no right to say that you don't agree." Before Sima Yue could say anything, Chongming spoke first. He released his sacred beast aura without holding back, and directly pressed the few old saber-toothed tigers to the ground, causing them to be unable to breathe. What kind of pressure is this?" The elders were shocked. They were considered the strongest in this area, but the other party had only emitted a pressure that made them unable to move. Could it be that this is the legendary sacred beast? The people present had never truly felt the pressure of a sacred beast, and their hearts were filled with fear. Chongming looked at the saber-toothed tiger lying on the ground and said, "Negotiating with you guys is just giving you face. Do you really think you're so powerful? Oui. You're just saber-toothed tigers with a longer lifespan, but you're relying on your age and seniority to look down on the Beast King." Chongming said coldly, "No, not what?" Chongming said, "I originally wanted to discuss with you about using your cultivation pool, but since you are not willing, then there is no need to discuss. We will directly use your cultivation pool. Do you have any objections?" "We have no objections." A few of the elders no longer objected. Only the first elder still said no. "I can't." Chongming raised his voice at the end. When he said this, he withdrew his pressure and casually flung his sleeves. The old saber-toothed tiger was sent flying and fell heavily to the ground. Ugh! The old saber-toothed tiger had never been treated like this before. It was so angry that it lost its mind. It got up from the ground and attacked Chongming. Before it could get close to Chongming, it was imprisoned by something. Then it felt the space around it shrink, and its body began to distort under the pressure. The people around it could even hear the sound of its bones breaking. Bang! When it was on its last breath, Chongming released it. He then looked at the elders and said, "Does anyone else have any objections?" No. This time no one dared to say anything. He was just standing in the same spot, seemingly doing nothing, but he had already beaten their elders to a pulp. If he wanted to destroy them, it would not be an easy task. Who would dare to say anything? The saber-toothed tiger king looked at the elders with an unfriendly gaze. Originally, he wanted to invite them to discuss some matters, but now it had turned out like this. The other party was not talking about cooperation anymore. It was really infuriating. "Then what you said before about taking us out of here, does it still count?" Saber-toothed tiger king asked carefully. "What? Take us away? Leave here? Is that true?" When the elders heard the saber-toothed tiger king's words, they all cried out, their eyes filled with shock. "That's right. Originally, I wanted to take you away from here in exchange for using the cultivation pool. Unfortunately, you were not willing, so we could only take it by force." Sima Yue shrugged and said, "That we didn't." The elders' mouths were filled with bitterness. How would they know that they had just said a few words and lost their chance to leave this place? Sima Yue looked at the regret in their eyes with satisfaction. She pretended to cough and said, "Do you want to leave this world? Are you willing to take us away?" One of the elders asked. "If you want us to take you away, we can do that. But you have to pay for everything." Sima Yue said, "If you want to leave, you have to give us the corresponding reward." Didn't you say before that we would use the cultivation pool?" Another elder said softly. "That was the previous condition. The condition has changed now." Sima Yue said, "What do you want as reward?" "We have many herbs that you humans need," Saber-toothed Tiger King said. No. Sima Yue raised her index finger and said, "If you want to leave, you have to give me a period of freedom." "A period of freedom? What do you mean?" One of the elders said. "It's very simple." Half an hour later, Sima Yue and saber-toothed Tiger King Gong Yin came to an agreement. Sima Yue would take them away from here, but at the same time, they had to agree to be used by her for 100 years. Of course, Sima Yue and the rest would not use the cultivation pool as a reward. Although the saber-toothed tiger tribe felt uncomfortable, they still had to treat Sima Yue and the rest well. This was because if they were unhappy and cancelled the deal, they would not be able to leave this place anymore. Especially those elders. Their lifespans were reaching the end, but they were still unable to break through to the level of divine beasts. If they were unable to do so at the last moment, they could only die of old age here. If they left this place, they would no longer be restricted by the rules. Once they became sacred beasts, they would have an additional 1,000 years of lifespan. If they could continue to advance and break through to a higher level, their lifespan would increase even further. Hence, Sima Yue was like an empress dowager to them. She specially sent people to protect them at the cultivation pool, so that they would not be disturbed by the outside world. After that, Gong Yin personally brought Sima Yue and the rest to the cultivation pool. Indeed, just like the Snow Wolf tribe, the saber-toothed tiger tribe's cultivation pool also had a pool. However, the water in this pool was red. "This water is so strange." Fatty Chu looked at the water and bent over to touch it. "This is not water. It is formed by fire-attributed spiritual energy. It just looks like water." Sima Yue said. "That's right." Gong Yin said, "You can cultivate here. I will send people to guard outside. No one will disturb you." "All right." Sima Yue nodded at him. "When we leave, we will bring you with us." Gong Yin retreated. The elders were still waiting for him outside. Seeing him come out, they all surrounded him. "King, what did that young master say?" "Don't worry. He saw the cultivation pool and was very satisfied. He said that if we do not disturb them, he will bring us with him when he leaves." Gong Yin said as he left. After walking a few steps, he stopped and looked ahead, saying, "You are the elders. I usually respect you because you are of higher seniority. However, don't forget that I am the Beast King here." After saying that, he left without looking back. The elders looked at each other and saw the bitterness in each other's eyes. It seemed that this matter had made him very angry. Chapter 360. Sima Yue waited for Gong Yin to leave before saying to Bei Gong Tang and the others, "You guys go to the pond to cultivate." "Go to the pond?" Fatty Chu said in surprise. "Isn't it fine to stay by the shore?" "I don't know why, but the spiritual qi will flow into the pool. But if you cultivate inside, it will be faster," Sima Yue said. "Then what about you?" Wei Ziqi asked as he keenly sensed the meaning behind Sima Yue's words. "I have something to explore with Chongming," Sima Yue said. Chongming set up a barrier for them. "Don't let the people outside in." "All right." Chongming nodded and formed a seal to create a barrier that wrapped the entire cultivation pool. "Yue, what are you going to do?" Fatty Chu was helpless. "This place and the Snow Wolf clan's cultivation pool are a bit strange. I'll go and find out what's going on." Sima Yue said, "You guys stay here and cultivate. I should be back soon." "Then be careful," Bei Gong Tang said. "Don't worry. If there's any danger, I'll come back earlier," Sima Yue said. She and Chongming went to the stone wall in the depths of the mouth and reached out to touch it. Sure enough, they found that it was the same as in the Snow Wolf tribe. When they came in, they noticed the similarities between this place and the other side. They guessed that there should be something similar to a barrier here. He didn't expect it to be so. Sima Yue called out Little Roar and fused with him. She then kept Chongming into her spirit pagoda and walked through the barrier. When Bei Gong Tang and the others saw her disappear from the cave, they each chose a corner of the cultivation pool to enter. "Such dense spiritual qi," Fatty Chu said excitedly. "I can feel the fire element burrowing into my body." Sima Yue was also very excited as he stretched forth a hand to grab the water. "Let's hurry up and cultivate. If we cultivate here for a year, We might be able to increase a few levels. Ouyang Fei said. Hee hee, who knows, I might even be able to advance to Spirit Saint. Fatty Chu said. Sima Yue, Bei Gong Tang, and the others had all entered the ranks of Spirit Emperors. He was the only one who was still at the peak of Spirit Overlord. That was why he wanted to use this opportunity to break through and become a Spirit Emperor. Fatty, you have to work hard. If you're too far behind us, we won't wait for you. Ouyang Fei said, trying to motivate Fatty Chu. Everyone start cultivating. Bei Gong Tang didn't say anything else and closed her eyes to start cultivating. Because the spiritual energy was too rich, it was a bit too much for her to bear. She hurriedly mobilized the spiritual energy in her body to guide the spiritual energy that had just entered, making them obediently follow the meridians to the Dantian. On the other side, Sima Yue realized that the barrier looked similar to a rock. However, after entering the barrier, she realized that there was indeed a space behind it. She called out Chongming and said, "Look here. A cave within a cave?" Chongming looked at the cave that extended downwards and said, "Do you want to go down?" "Of course," Sima Yue said. "It's not my style to not go down when I've already discovered that it's not normal." After saying that, she jumped down. Chongming saw that she didn't hesitate and smiled before jumping down as well. Sima Yue felt that the lower she went, the higher the temperature became. Towards the end, she had no choice but to release spiritual energy to envelop herself in order to continue descending. After descending for a while, Sima Yue had no choice but to stop. She realized that the temperature here had completely melted her protective layer. "We can't go down any further," Chongming said. "I can't bear the temperature here." Sima Yue looked down and saw that they were about to reach the surface. She said, "You go back first. I'll use Crimson Flames to envelop myself and go down to take a look." "All right." Chongming didn't force himself and returned to the Spirit Pagoda. Sima Yue kept Little Roar and used Crimson Flames to envelop herself. She could clearly see that the space around her had become distorted due to the scorching heat. Very quickly she reached the bottom. However, when she saw the situation below clearly, she realized that there was no place for her to land. "It's actually all magma. Did the magma come from the Earth's core?" She looked around. There was no place for her to land, nor was there anything special. However, she felt an unusual aura from the magma. Boom dash! A small bubble emerged from the bottom of the magma. When it came out of the magma, it burst and let out a slight cracking sound. An aura floated out from the bubble. This aura made her feel that it was ancient. "It seems that we can't see anything here," Sima Yue said. "It's all magma. We can't continue. Since that's the case, let's go back." "Go down." Crimson Flame's voice suddenly sounded. "Crimson Flame?" Sima Yue didn't think that Crimson Flame would wake up at this time. She said, "Crimson Flame, the temperature of the magma is too high. I can't stand it here. If I go down, I'll be burned to ashes." Crimson Flame was silent. Then, Sima Yue saw the flames around her slowly turning into a red ball. That ball carrying her moon fell into the magma and was quickly annihilated by the magma. "Cultivate here," Crimson Flame said. After Sima Yue entered the magma, she felt that the fire elements were much denser. This red ball seemed to be able to help her absorb the fire elements. She only needed to absorb the fire elements into her body. These fire elements are much more tyrannical than the usual fire attribute spiritual energy. She felt that the fire elements she absorbed were very hot. There was even a slight danger of burning her body. Luckily, her bones and tendons were refined by Crimson Flame's Nirvana fire. These fire elements didn't really hurt her. It only made her meridians hurt. However, even so, she almost couldn't bear it, and her body almost exploded. So painful, she clenched her teeth. She actually felt pain in this situation. If it was Bei Gong Tang and the others, they would have been burned to ashes by the fire elements. However, that red ball didn't care if her body hurt, or if the fire elements were tyrannical. It just kept absorbing the fire elements. She had no choice but to keep absorbing the fire elements into her body. It was a cycle. She didn't know how much time had passed. Sima Yu didn't know if the pain had numbed her, or if she had gotten used to it, but she could no longer feel the pain. She only knew that many fire elements had rushed into her body. If she were to rest, those new fire elements would definitely cripple her body. That was why she didn't stop cultivating at all. Feeling that she was already used to it, crimson flame came out of her body. He was also surrounded by a red ball. It's rare to come across such a good place. It seems that I can recover a level from my injuries. After speaking, he came to a place not far from Sima Yue. He sat down cross-legged and started cultivating like a human. Chapter 361. While they were cultivating, the others in the small realm were also searching for their own opportunities. Sima Yulin brought the Sima family to another place where a treasure had appeared. Unlike Sima Yue and the rest, the place that they went to did not attract any spirit beasts, and there was no one to compete with them. On the second day that they arrived, they saw the natural treasure ripening. Thus, after defeating the guardian beast, they easily obtained the treasure. Yulin, where are we going now? Sima Yuyang asked. We're not going anywhere. This place is more secluded, so we'll cultivate here. Sima Yulin said. Are we not going to look for other treasures? Sima Yuqing asked. Haven't you realized that the spiritual qi here is denser than anywhere else? Sima Yulin asked back. It seems to be a little thicker. Sima Yuran said. The first thing we need to do here is to increase our strength. Sima Yulin said. The spiritual energy here is at least 3 to 4 times that of the Yilin continent. If we seize the opportunity, we will be able to increase our strength. If combined with the spirit gathering array, the spirit qi will double. Then we can cultivate for a period of time. After that, we'll go look for you and the others. We'll see if there are any treasures along the way. Sima Yuqing said. However, why is it that this place is denser than other places? Sima Yuming asked. There must be a reason. Sima Yuran said. If we can find this reason, we might be able to obtain an even greater opportunity. Sima Yulin and the others took a look and said, then let's look for the reason first. All right, let's take a look at the place where the spiritual qi is the densest. If we follow this, we'll be able to find the reason. Sima Yuyang said. Let me try. Sima Yulan closed her eyes and sensed for a moment, then said, I can feel that the nearby spiritual qi seems to be rushing over here. It seems to be all going over there. She pointed at a mountain peak not far away. Could it be that there is something there that is attracting them? Sima Yuqing said. We'll know once we go take a look. Sima Yulin flew over after speaking. Sure enough, the closer they got to the mountain peak, the denser the spirit qi became. When they reached the foot of the mountain peak, they felt that the spirit qi was about to turn into a puddle of water. The few of them stopped and felt that this place was a little strange. The spirit qi was obviously very dense, but why were there no spirit beasts nearby? There's an array, Sima Yulin said as he walked around. Array formation. Could there be someone here? Sima Yuqi asked. No. This array has existed for a very long time. It could have been set up by someone who came here in the past. Sima Yulin said. A long time ago? Sima Yuyang said. That person's array skills are really high. It's been so long, but the array is still working. Sima Yulin examined the array carefully, saying, he used spirit stones to set up the array. No wonder. What is borrowing spirit stones? Sima Yuqing asked. It's a very rare type of array spirit stone. It uses spirit stones to set up an array. The spirit stone can absorb the spiritual qi of heaven and earth to replenish the needs of the array. As long as the spiritual qi in the air does not dissipate, the array will continue to be effective. Sima Yulin explained. So that's how it is. Everyone understood. No wonder this formation can last for so long. What kind of formation is this? Can you break it? It's a little troublesome. Sima Yulin looked at the mountain peak, saying, this array is an attack array. If you attack blindly, the array will reflect the power of the attack back. That's why we can only think of a way to break it. We can't attack it head-on. Yulin, can you do it? Sima Yuyang asked. I'll try. Sima Yulin said. 2 days later they were still outside the array. If you really can't do it, we can try to contact Fifth Bro. Sima Yuran said. Not bad. You use array skills are not bad. Who knows, he might be able to give you a hint. Sima Yuyang said. Then let's try. Sima Yulin did not force it. Sima Yuran took out the mother stone and inserted his spiritual qi. However, there was no reaction at all. Looks like we're already out of range. Sima Yuran said. Let me try again. Sima Yulin said as he leapt up and flew to the mountain peak beside them. He sat on the peak and looked over, then lowered his head to calculate something. 2 days later, he was calculating when he suddenly thought of something Sima Yuyu said. Sometimes this array needs to be broken from the outside. However, there are other arrays that need to be broken from the inside. Arrays that need to be broken from the inside must have a koan position that can be entered all the way to the center of the array. When he thought of this, his eyes shone and he flew down from the peak. After that, he circled the array twice. Yulin, have you thought of a way to break it? Sima Yuyang asked. Sima Yulin nodded. You guys stay a little further away. After speaking, he came in front of an unremarkable spirit stone, took a deep breath and stepped in. He disappeared. Sima Yuyang said in shock when he saw Sima Yulin disappear in front of him. After about an hour, Sima Yulin came out again. Yulin, did you break it? Sima Yuqing asked. Sima Yulin's face was full of joy, saying, No need to break it. We can use this array as a cover. I'll bring you guys in. You have to follow my steps closely. You can't take a single wrong step. Okay. Sima Yulin turned around and went in again. Everyone followed him closely. After 10 minutes, they all went in. Heavens, the spiritual energy here is even denser than outside. Sima Yuqing couldn't help but cry out. There's something inside that will surprise you even more. Sima Yulin said. When he came in, he had already roughly looked around. At that time, he was so shocked that he almost couldn't regain his senses. What kind of treasure is inside that cave? Sima Yuqing said with a smile. You'll know once you go in. Sima Yulin said as he brought them into the cave. This was a cave that sloped downwards. The deeper they went in, the more spacious it became. Soon they reached the bottom. Why is there a lake here? Seeing the lake at the bottom of the cave, everyone was shocked. You guys take a good look. Sima Yulin said. Everyone didn't understand. However, seeing how mysterious he was, they all bent over to look at the lake. This is... Sima Yuran was the first to understand. His eyes were filled with shock. The others also reacted and said excitedly, Could it be that this is all formed by spiritual energy? That's right. If we absorb all this spiritual energy, our strength will definitely increase by a lot. Sima Yulin was excited as well. He was no longer as calm as before. But how did this kind of spiritual energy pool form here? Sima Yuming asked. Maybe we'll understand once we absorb all this spiritual energy into our bodies. Then what are we waiting for? Let's all go in and cultivate. Sima Yuyang took the lead and jumped in. Of course, it didn't splash like normal water. The others looked at each other and jumped in as well. After that, they began to cultivate. Chapter 362. With the protection of the defense array outside, there was no need to worry about the attacks of spirit beasts and other people. The few of them had entered into a complete cultivation mode. Presumably, they would not wake up until they had absorbed all the spirit chi here. However, just in case, they still called out a few contracted beasts. Firstly, it was to prevent them from encountering an array master like Sima Yulin. Secondly, it was to prevent them from cultivating too much and exceeding the time limit. If that happened, they would be stuck here forever. They were cultivating here. Wei Ziqi and the others were cultivating in the Snow Wolf clan. Bei Gong Tang and the others were cultivating in the Saber-Toothed Tiger clan. Sima Yuyue and Qi Yan were cultivating in the lava. These were all cultivation grounds with great opportunities. The group of people's strength was increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye. The others who came in were not as lucky as them. They were not able to find a place to cultivate so quickly. Everyone was still running around everywhere. From time to time, some people would die, and some would find their own opportunities. In the blink of an eye, They had already been here for more than half a year. In a patch of grass on a plain, a group of injured people were resting. Big sister, what is the Jean family trying to do? Guoliang looked at the wounds on Guopei's body and said angrily, "Are they trying to sever all ties with us?" Guopei swallowed the pill, her face pale as she said, "They're colluding with others right now. They want to capture us, the Yun clan, and the other clans in one fell swoop. This way, our clan won't have any proof that they did it." Guofu was also injured. Hearing Guopei's words, she said, "I don't know what kind of power they've colluded with. There are actually people from that kind of power. It must be someone from the upper continent. Only that continent would have such a person," another member of the Guo clan said. Listening to what they said, it seems like they want to deal with the Divine Devil Valley's people. It could be that they have enmity with the Divine Devil Valley in the upper continents. Guofu said. That's very likely. Guopei said. Everyone, let's hurry up and heal. Otherwise, if they catch up, we won't be able to fight anymore. Yes, big sister. The other members of the Guo clan didn't say anything either. Those who were injured started to heal themselves. A day later, their injuries recovered one after another. Guopei was the first to open her eyes. Seeing the few people who were still recuperating, she didn't say anything. She stood up and carefully looked around. There was nothing special about the vast grassland. But when she saw the mountain peak in the distance, she was stunned. I was actually chased all the way to this place, she muttered to herself. The mountain peak in the distance was where they had parted ways with Sima Yue and the rest. Yue and the rest had gone to the Snow Wolf clan's territory, while they had left to search for opportunities elsewhere. She turned around, and at the end of the grassland, she could vaguely see some mountains. I wonder if they're still in that place. She might still be here. Guofu's voice sounded. Guopei looked over, and saw that she had also recovered. The Snow Wolf clan said that there is a place for them to cultivate. I don't think it's something that can be done in a day or two. Guofu walked over and looked at the faintly discernible snowy mountains. Obviously, she remembered that this was the place where she had parted ways with Sima Yue. If she's really there, we might be able to avoid this disaster, Guopei said. I just don't know if she's willing to help us. She should be, Guofu said. Brother Yuni is from the Divine Devil Valley, and she's the junior valley master of the Divine Devil Valley. The people from the Divine Devil Valley are being chased together with us. She shouldn't be uninvolved. I hope someone's coming, Guopei suddenly said. Who is it? Is it the Zhang clan? Guofu suddenly became nervous. I don't know. I can't feel their aura, Guopei said. Wake everyone up and prepare to move. Yes, big sister. Guofu woke everyone up. Just as they were about to continue escaping, Guopei suddenly relaxed and said, There's no need to escape. It's Yin Feng and the rest. After a short while, a flying beast appeared in their field of vision. The people sitting on it were the Yin clan members. Seeing Guopei and the rest on the ground, Yin Feng and the rest then descended. The Yin clan members were all injured. Their clothes were all soaked in fresh blood. Yin Feng, where's brother Yuni? Guopei didn't see Yuni and asked worriedly. Big brother is with the people from the Divine Devil Valley. He didn't escape with us. Cough cough. Yin Feng's stomach was stabbed by a sword. It almost took his life. Hurry up and take some pills to heal yourself, Guopei said. We've already finished all our healing pills, Yin Feng said with a bitter smile. Who would have thought that their Yin clan would be forced to such a state by someone? In these 2 months, they had been in a cycle of getting injured, escaping, getting injured and escaping again. They had already used up all their healing pills a few days ago. Eat ours first. Guopei passed the last of the pills to him. Then she looked at the Guo clan members and said, Who still has pills on them? Hurry up and take them out. The Guo clan members hurriedly took out all the pills they had on them. Most of them were barely enough for the Yin clan. Yin Feng knew that Guopei and the rest didn't have any more pills. Before he could reject them, he heard Guopei say, Our 2 clans have been friends for generations. We're grasshoppers on the same rope. In this situation, if you're better, our battle power will be stronger. Don't reject them. Yin Feng looked at Guopei's bright eyes. His heart skipped a beat. He nodded and took the pills. The Yun clan members saw that he had eaten the pills. They then took the pills too. Yun Feng ate the pills and adjusted his breathing. He said, "Let's continue on our way. Those people will most likely continue to chase after us." "Why didn't Big Brother Uni bring you along?" Guapepe didn't understand. "The other party is very strong," Yun Feng said. "Big Brother said that there are people from the Sage Pavilion in that group." "Sage Pavilion?" The Gua clan members shouted. "And I also heard Big Brother say that the people from the Cloud Cave are in there too." Yun Feng said, "The Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley are enemies. They have joined forces with the Sage Pavilion to fight against the Divine Devil Valley. If we go with them, it will be more dangerous." "Then the Zhang clan must be in cahoots with the Sage Pavilion," Guapepe said. "There are a few people in white who are chasing after us. They look pure and holy. They must be from the Sage Pavilion. Big Brother Uni is already half a step into the divine rank. He should be able to fight against the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion, right?" Guapepe said. Yun Feng shook his head and looked in the direction they came from. He said, "I'm afraid that Big Brother and the rest are in danger." "Why?" The Gua clan members were shocked. "Are the Sage Pavilion and the Cloud Cave that strong? The people from Divine Devil Valley should also have very strong people." "It's not because of that," Yun Feng said. "The Divine Devil Valley has many strong people who have come, but there's someone from the Sage Pavilion who has a sacred beast contract as well." Chapter 363. "What?" The Gua family members cried out. Guapepe felt as if her heart was being squeezed. Even breathing seemed to be a little difficult. If the other party had a sacred beast, then he would be invincible in this little realm. If he did not meet Sima Yue, she looked in the direction of the snow mountain and said, "Looks like we can only try our luck there." Yun Feng followed her gaze and said, "You mean looking for her?" "There's no other way except for her," Guapepe said. "I don't know what method they used to lock onto us. No matter how we run, they will catch up to us. If they really have a sacred beast, if we don't go and find her, we might not be able to hold on until the little realm opens." "But half a year has passed. Is she still in the Snow Wolf clan?" Yun Feng asked with uncertainty. "We can only try. We don't have time now, so I'll have to trouble you to recover on the way," Guapepe said. "If we can't find her, I'm afraid that Uni will really. Then let's go," Yun Feng said. Regardless of whether they were here or not, he could only try his luck. "Let's go." The group boarded the flying beasts. The Yun family members were recovering from their injuries on the way. Everyone else was fine except for Yun Feng, who was severely injured. He was still not fully recovered by the time they reached the Snow Wolf tribe. "Stop. Who are you? Why did you barge into my snow mountain?" As soon as they stepped into the snowy mountain range, they were surrounded by the Snow Wolf clan's mythical beasts. It was as if they were going to kill them as intruders. "We're Sima Yoyue's friends. We want to ask if they're still here?" Guapepe asked. "Are you young Master Sima's friends?" A divine beast circled around them and said, "How do we know if you are really their friends?" "We really are. We still have the things they gave us as proof," Guapepe said. "What's going on?" A level 6 divine beast walked over and asked. This divine beast was the one that brought Sima Yue and the rest to the saber-toothed tiger. "Commander, they said they are friends of young Master Sima and are looking for young Master Sima." The 6th level divine beast looked at them and said, "I remember you guys. You were with young Master Sima at that time." It had been by the Snow Wolf King's side at that time, so it had naturally seen these people with them. Hearing the level 6 divine beast's words, the Gua family laughed. "Excuse me, are they still here?" Guapepe asked. "No," the level 6 divine beast said. "They left after a few days." Ah. The group was extremely disappointed. If she wasn't here, it wouldn't be easy for them to find her. If they couldn't find her, they didn't even know if they could leave the little realm alive. "What should we do? If we can't find her, Uni will." A girl from the Yin family was about to cry. "I haven't finished speaking. Although she isn't here, her friends are." That level 6 divine beast said, "Are you looking for them? Okay, Maybe they know where Yue is, Guopeipei said. Then please help us inform them. They are currently cultivating. Come with me. The level 6 divine beast brought them to see the Snow Wolf King. When he saw them, he knew the ins and outs of the matter and said, Yue and the rest went to the saber-toothed tiger's territory. The remaining 2 are currently cultivating. Since Yue's people were bullied, I will send someone to inform Ichi, and the rest to see if they have any way of contacting Yue. Otherwise, you will have to go to the saber-toothed tiger's territory to find them. Many thanks, Snow Wolf King, Guopeipei said. If it was any other human, they would definitely not receive such treatment. It was only because they had some relationship with Sima Yue, and the rest, that they were treated with such courtesy. The Snow Wolf King sent someone to find Wei Ziqi and the rest, and coincidentally saw them advancing in rank. So the little wolf waited outside for a while, and only entered when it saw the advancement light disappear. Young Master Wei, the little wolf saw Wei Ziqi and said, Someone is looking for you. Wei Ziqi and Little Two advanced in rank at the same time, and were feeling the changes in their body. When they heard what the little wolf said, they guessed that Yue and the rest had returned. But when they thought about it, if it was Sima Yue, they would have come directly to find him in Little Tuesday. Who is looking for us? He asked. I haven't seen them before, but they said they are your friends. The little wolf said. Our friends? Wei Ziqi frowned. Did Sima Yulin and the rest find them? Brother Ziqi, could it be Sister Gua and the rest? Little Two said. It's possible. Let's go take a look. Wei Ziqi said. Wei Ziqi and Little Two came to the Snow Wolf King's cave. When they saw the people inside, they knew that Little Two had guessed correctly. Ziqi. The Gua clansmen were excited when they saw him. So it's you guys. Didn't you leave this place? Why are you back? Wei Ziqi said. Normally, when people were looking for opportunities, they would rarely return after leaving a place. I'll explain it to you later, Guopeipei said. Can you contact Yue and the rest? Did something happen? Wei Ziqi asked when he saw how anxious she was. Yes, we met with trouble, including the Divine Devil Valley, Guopeipei said. After that, she explained the situation simply. Because time was tight, there were many things that she didn't have time to say. However, it made Wei Ziqi realize the seriousness of the situation. I'll try to contact them. He took out the Mother-Sun Stone and inserted his spirit energy, but there was no response. The Yin clansmen were happy when they saw him take out the Mother-Sun Stone. They knew the use of the Mother-Sun Stone. But when they saw that there was no response from the Mother-Sun Stone, their smiles froze. Could it be that they are very far away? Wei Ziqi said. After that, he took out another Mother-Sun Stone and inserted his spirit energy. Ziqi. Bei Gongtang's voice came from the Mother-Sun Stone. Bei Gong, are you still at the saber-toothed tiger clan? Wei Ziqi asked. Yes. What's wrong? Bei Gongtang asked. Where's Yue? I looked for her just now, but her Mother-Sun Stone didn't respond. Wei Ziqi said. Oh, she's not with us. Bei Gongtang said. Where did she go? She went underground with Chongming. She's probably cultivating down there. Why are you looking for her so anxiously? Is something the matter? Wei Ziqi explained the situation, and the 4 of them felt the seriousness of the situation. After Yue went down that day, she didn't come up for a few months. We haven't contacted her, and don't know if we can contact her now. Why don't you wait? We'll come out now and see if we can find her. At that time, Bei Gongtang's words were cut off halfway. Wei Ziqi shouted a few times, but there was no response. After a while, Bei Gongtang's voice came from the Mother-Sun Stone. We don't need to go down, this guy came out alive. Chapter 364. The spiritual qi in the cultivation pool had been almost completely absorbed. In the past 8 or 9 months, the 4 of them had all risen by 2 to 3 levels, which could be considered a considerable gain. One had to know that it would take several years for one to advance to Spirit King. Fatty Chu finally broke through the Spirit Grandmaster stage and successfully advanced to the Spirit Emperor stage. He was the slowest to advance in the group. However, if he took this talent out, he would still be in existence that would frighten a group of people. As for Ouyang Fei and Bei Gong Tang, they had risen by 3 levels, and the distance between them and him had increased. Fatty Chu did not even have the time to complain before he heard the bad news from Wei Ziqi's side. Before he could even express his anger, the few of them were stunned by the sounds coming from behind the stone wall. Roars could be heard, mixed with the angry roars of people, the collision of spiritual energy, and the sound of magma surging. It was as if a great battle was taking place behind it. Just when they were considering if they should go in and take a look, Sima Yue appeared in front of them in a sorry state. Seeing that half of Sima Yue's clothes were burnt and her body was black like coal, the few of them were stunned for a few seconds. Then they laughed unkindly. Bei Gong, say something. Did something happen on your side? Wei Ziqi's voice came from the mother-son stone. Bei Gong Tang maintained her smile and picked up the mother-son stone, saying, "We don't need to go down. This guy came out alive. We'll contact you in a while." After saying that, she put away the mother-son stone. "Fifth bro, what's wrong with you?" Sima Yule held back his laughter as he helped her up and asked. Sima Yu used Sima Yuli's strength to stand up. When she opened her mouth, black smoke came out. "What a tragedy. I almost became barbecued meat. I'll go pack up first." After saying that, she flashed into the spirit pagoda. Half a day later, she came out of the spirit pagoda. At this time, the injuries on her body had completely disappeared. "Fifth bro, what have you been through in this half a year? How did you end up like this?" Sima Yulu asked. "Don't mention it." Sima Yue waved her hand as she recalled what she had gone through in the past half a year. "Yue, you've become a spirit paragon?" Ouyang Fei suddenly asked in surprise. "Yes." Sima Yue nodded. This was probably the biggest gain of the past few months. Every day, her body felt like it was being roasted by flames. She had no choice but to use all her energy to guide the fire elements and protect her body. Although her strength was increasing very quickly, the process was too difficult to endure. When she became a spirit elder, the lava suddenly erupted. Coincidentally, the bubbles that Qi Yan had created for her were no longer effective. If she hadn't run fast enough, she wouldn't have been able to get out. "Yue, you actually broke through the threshold of Spirit Paragon. Didn't they say that this threshold was very difficult?" Fatty Chu cried out loudly. He had just become a spiritual emperor, and this guy had already become a spiritual venerable. Did he have to be so scary? Sima Yue also felt that this threshold wasn't easy. She had risen 4 ranks in the first 6 months, reaching the peak of spiritual emperor. It was only after 3 months that she successfully broke through and became a first-rank spirit paragon. In 9 months, she rose 5 ranks. From a 5th-rank spirit paragon to a 1st-rank spirit paragon. Damn, if we knew earlier, we would have gone down to cultivate as well. Fatty Chu cried out. Bei Gong Tang and the others looked at her enviously. Sima Yue shook her head, saying, "If it weren't for Qi Yan's protection, I would have been burnt to ashes before I even reached the bottom." "So dangerous? What exactly is down there?" Everyone was shocked. They naturally knew how powerful Qi Yan's flames were. They actually needed his protection to reach the bottom. If they had gone down, they would have been burnt to a crisp. Sima Yue explained the situation down there simply. However, it still left everyone speechless. They all thought that the place down there was specially prepared for people like Sima Yue. "Right when I came out, I saw you guys talking to Ziqi. Did something happen? Did he come out as well?" "Nope. Something happened," Bei Gong Tang said. "Yulin and the others?" "No, Guopei and the others went to the Snow Wolf clan to look for us. In the end, they were the only ones there, so they asked him to contact you. However, your mother stone didn't respond and couldn't contact you. In the end, they found me," Bei Gong Tang replied. "Guopei and the others? Why would they look for us?" "It's like this." Bei Gong Tang told her everything that Wei Ziqi had told her. Sima Yue furrowed her eyebrows after hearing it, saying, "I never thought that the people from the Divine Devil Valley would come in as well. Those whatever cave and sage pavilion people actually dared to join hands to kill them. Did they think that I, the Junior Valley Master, didn't exist? They didn't even know of your existence." Ouyang Fei added. Cough cough dash Sima Yue glared at Ouyang Fei. She had finally managed to show her dominance, but this guy still dared to tear her apart. Since something has happened, let's go out. Yue, are we going to rush over now? Bei Gong Tang asked. No rush, Sima Yue said. Although we have Chongming, don't they have sacred beasts too? Other than that, we still have to bring some helpers over. Let's go, we'll look for Gong Yin first. Gong Yin and a few elders were in the cave discussing how to leave. Ever since Sima Yue and the others went in, they could no longer enter that place. They couldn't even see what was going on inside. As the one-year deadline approached, they became more and more nervous. They didn't know if they would be able to leave this place. However, they couldn't see Sima Yue and the others' situation. Thus, everyone became anxious. Wang Dash, a saber-toothed tiger, ran in from outside and said excitedly, those people have come out of seclusion. Really? Gong Yin became excited. Really? They're walking over here right now. I think they'll be here soon. Then inform outside. Bring them in when they're here. Gong Yin ordered. Sima Yue and the others followed the saber-toothed tiger that was guarding them to Gong Yan's cave. The guard told them to enter directly. The moment they entered, they saw Gong Yin and the elders talking about something. Seeing them enter, they stopped and looked at them excitedly. You're finally out of seclusion, an elder said. We can't see what's going on inside from outside. Are you all okay? Gong Yin said. We're fine. Sima Yue said. We're already out of seclusion. Have you all decided? We've decided. We accept your conditions. We'll listen to you for 100 years after we leave. Gong Yin hadn't even opened his mouth when an elder expressed his stance. I wonder when we'll be leaving. Sima Yue looked at Gong Yin. Gong Yin nodded, expressing that he agreed with the elder's words. All right, since you've agreed, then go and gather the people. We'll leave immediately. Chapter 365. Now. Gong Yin and the elders were shocked. Don't we still have 3 months? I have some matters to settle. After I leave, I won't have time to come back. Sima Yue said. If you don't leave with me, you won't be able to leave. Gong Yin was stunned for a moment before saying, all right. However, I will need some time to gather my clansmen. All right. Thus, all the members of the saber-toothed tiger clan received the order to return within a day and pack their things. Sima Yue was very curious. These spirit beasts still had things to pack? However, thinking about the piles of medicinal ingredients in the warehouse and the various materials in the palace, she knew that the tiger clan also had a habit of collecting treasures. Presumably, those saber-toothed tigers had their own little warehouse. The next morning, Sima Yue left. Following her was a group of spirit paragon-level saber-toothed tigers. Those low-leveled ones were all thrown into the spirit pagoda by her. However, it was not their usual place, but a separate space created by Little Spirit. There was nothing inside, and they could only look at the pitch-black space. However, they could still breathe. This way, she could bring them along and not let them know the secret of the spirit pagoda. Gong Yin and the rest saw that she really had a place that could accommodate life, and were even more convinced that she would bring them out. Those elders were already fantasizing that they would be promoted to sacred beasts when they left. In the Snow Wolf clan, the Gua and Yun clansmen were anxiously waiting. They had already stayed here for 2 days, and did not know what was going on over at Yuni's side. Suddenly, a wolf's howl was heard. Rong and Zhao's expression changed as they immediately stood up and said, Prepare for battle. Wei Ziqi and the rest saw that they had such a big reaction after hearing the wolf's howl and asked, Did something happen? A large group of saber-toothed tigers have invaded. Rong said, I don't think you need to be so nervous. Wei Ziqi said, No, the last time the saber-toothed tigers invaded, they brought along their elders. We were not in time and Xiao was injured. Rong said, If I didn't guess wrongly, it should be Yue who brought the saber-toothed tigers here. Wei Ziqi said, It's her. Is she going to bring the saber-toothed tigers out too? Yes. Wei Ziqi replied. Previously, Bei Gong told me that they have already discussed the terms with the saber-toothed tiger tribe. I'm afraid that they won't have the time to come back and bring you all back. The only way is to bring you all along. If you're still willing to leave, you should quickly inform the Snow Wolf clan to prepare to leave. Wei Ziqi. The mother-son stone in Wei Ziqi's hands suddenly lit up. You, Wei Ziqi replied. Ziqi, go and inform the Snow Wolf King that we have already rushed over, and will arrive in half a day's time. Tell them that if they want to leave with us, they should quickly prepare. We don't have much time to waste. Sima Yue said. I'm with them. They all heard your words. Wei Ziqi said as he glanced at the Snow Wolf King. Rong and Sky exchanged looks and said, We'll gather our clansmen immediately. By the time Sima Yue brought the saber-toothed tigers to the Snow Wolf clan's territory, everyone was already prepared. Sima Yue looked at the thousands of snow wolves standing neatly on the snowy mountain and sighed. They were indeed faster than the saber-toothed tigers. Yue. Guopei saw Sima Yue and was a little excited. Even the way she addressed her changed. Sima Yue got down from Little Rock and nodded at Guopei, saying, We'll talk about the details on the way. I'll settle the Snow Wolf clan first, so that we can leave earlier. All right, Guopei said. Rong saw Sima Yue return, and immediately felt that her aura was different. He asked in surprise, You're a spirit paragon? I was lucky, Sima Yue said. Are you all ready? We're ready. How are you going to bring so many of us away? Rong asked. I have a place. You can go there. You can breathe there. Sima Yue said. Your clansmen will have to stay there for the time being. The saber-toothed tigers are there too? Sky narrowed his eyes at the saber-toothed tigers that were following them. His body emitted a dangerous aura. No matter what grudges you have, if you want to leave, you have to put them down now. After 100 years, you can do whatever you want. Sima Yue said. Although Rong really wanted to take revenge for Sky, he still nodded and said, All right. Then I'll bring your clansmen over now. Sima Yue said. Seeing that the Snow Wolf King did not object, she waved her hand, and the young Snow Wolf clan members disappeared. Yue, why didn't you bring them in with you? Wei Ziqi asked. Aren't we going to deal with a lot of people? When the time comes, we'll need spirit paragons and above to help. Sima Yue said without hesitation. Don't tell me you want to bring so many spirit beasts along with you? Bei Gongtang's face darkened. Previously, Sima Yue did not mention it, and they did not think about it. Now that they heard it, they felt that she was a little unreliable. Cough cough, can I? Sima Yue said. She just wanted to look cool when she was on the road. Seeing that everyone was looking at her with disapproval, she helplessly recalled all the spirit beasts, leaving only the Snow Wolf King and the saber-toothed Tiger King behind. The Gua clan members were stunned when they heard that Sima Yue had advanced to Spirit Paragon. Now that they saw that the spirit beasts had disappeared, they regained their senses. In 9 months, she had actually advanced from a spirit saint to a spirit paragon. How much luck did she have in these few months? Yue, why do you have that kind of space that can contain life? Guoliang asked. Sima Yue smiled and said, It's not strange for a beast tamer to have something that can contain life. It's just that mine is a little bigger. Rong and Gong Yan did not know that beast tamers had this kind of space, but the Gua clan and Yin clan members knew that most beast tamers would have something that could contain life. It was different from an interspatial ring, but it was similar. Hearing her say this, although they were surprised that she had such a big space, they did not say anything. You're also a beast tamer? Yin Feng looked at Sima Yue. Big brother said that you're a pill master, and that your talent in alchemy is very strong. Pill master? Aren't you an array master? Guoliang cried out in surprise. Cough cough both. Sima Yue said. All right, let's go now. Where is Yuni now? Do you know which direction we're heading in? Although she wanted to change the topic, everyone still looked at her with a shocked expression. A 22-year-old pill master, array master, and beast tamer. She was even a spirit paragon. Damn, there were not many people who could match up to her talent in the upper continents, right? Chapter 366. Yinfeng, didn't you say you were going to look for your brothers? Where should we go now? Wei Ziqi asked. Oh. Yinfeng regained his senses and said, I have a way to find my brother. As he spoke, he took out a piece of jade. It was similar to the one in Sima Yoyue's hand. There were 2 red dots on it. Big brother brought this back from the top. He gave it to me before he left. He said that as long as I followed this, I would be able to find her. Yinfeng said, They're moving quickly. Oh no, they're running so quickly. They must be being chased. They're running towards us. They're changing directions. Fatty Chu said, Big brother must have noticed that we were in this direction, so he changed his direction. Yinfeng said, Do you and your brother have a sun-mother stone? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Yinfeng said. He doesn't look too far away. Try to contact him. Sima Yue said. All right. Yinfeng took out the sun-mother stone and injected spiritual energy into it. After waiting for a while, there was a reaction from the other side. We've made contact. The Gua and Yin family members were elated. Feng, what's wrong? Yuni's voice sounded depressed. She was probably injured. Brother, are you being hunted down? Yinfeng asked. Yes. Feng, if I don't survive this time, you must survive. Go to the primordial lands and find the Divine Devil Valley. Tell them what happened here, and let them take revenge for us. Yuni was no longer lazy and her voice was somewhat ruthless. Why do we have to go up and find Master to take revenge? Sima Yue said. She quite liked this lazy and handsome guy. Yuni's eyes lit up when she heard Sima Yue's voice. What's the matter, Yuni? A voice asked. Sima Yue took the mother-son stone and said, Yuni, take your people and fly outside immediately. We'll pick you up. Okay. Yuni said excitedly. Sima Yue returned the mother-son stone to Yinfeng and flew onto Little Rock, saying, Let's go. Someone dares to bully my Divine Devil Valley's people. Damn it, do they think I'm a junior valley master? After being yelled, Bei Gong Tang also went up and said, In any case, I'm an inner disciple. Aya, according to what you said, we will most likely become part of the Divine Devil Valley in the future. This is bullying our people. If we don't go and fight, they will really think that our Divine Devil Valley is easy to bully. Fatty Chu stomped his feet and flew up as well. If we don't perform well, what if Grandpa Devil doesn't want us anymore? Wei Ziqi nodded his head and actually looked a little pretentious. Initially, he thought that Sima Yu was the only one from the Divine Devil Valley, but he didn't expect that they were all. Fatty Chu looked at the people below and said, What are you guys doing? Come up. Rong and Gong Yin sat on both sides of Sima Yue. They were determined not to sit together. The Gua and Yin family members quickly flew up. Little Rock flapped his wings and flew towards Yuni and the others at the fastest speed. Sima Yue turned around and looked at the snow mountain. She thought of the enchantment around the cultivation pool. There should be a place like hers. Unfortunately, she didn't have the chance to cultivate now. On the other side, Yuni put down the mother-son stone and said, Let's change direction and fly towards the northeast. Why? Didn't you say your brother and the others were in that direction? Are we going to find them? The man who spoke just now said, That's right, Yuni. If we go over, won't we be bringing danger to them? Another person from Divine Devil Valley said, Don't worry. Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion's arrogant days are coming to an end. Yuni said with a smile. All right. Seeing that he was so insistent, they changed direction again. Yuni lowered her head and looked at the red dot that belonged to Yinfeng moving quickly. Both parties were getting closer quickly. Her lips curled into a charming smile. When she heard the Junior Valley Master's voice just now, it seemed that the Divine Devil Valley was a little overbearing. One day later, the 2 red dots had almost overlapped. The distance between the 2 parties could no longer be determined by this. This is useless. I think they're not far away. Little Rock, pay attention to the aura around you. Sima Yue said. Yes, Master. Little Rock replied. Pung dash, 2 waves of spiritual energy collided and spread far and wide in the air. The people on their backs were shocked by the sound. Could it be that they've been caught up? Fatty Chu said. Yinfeng, contact them. Sima Yue instructed with a serious expression. If they had really been caught up, the situation wouldn't be optimistic. All right, Yin Feng said as he took out the mother-son stone. But just as he contacted them, there was an explosion, and there was no more news from them. It's really them. Chongming, bring me over first. Sima Yue called Chongming out. Chongming's aura was much stronger than when he first came here. Sima Yue had advanced in rank, and the other spirit beasts had also advanced in rank. Only he needed more energy, and didn't advance in rank. But he was close to the next level. After Chongming came out, he transformed into his original form. After Sima Yue flew up, he brought her over quickly. Since he's so fast, why didn't he bring us along? Someone from the Yin family said softly. Sacred beast, is it something that we can sit on whenever we want? Fatty Chu sneered. That person was speechless. He only thought that Chongming was Sima Yue's contracted beast. He didn't think that he was a sacred beast. Was his back something that ordinary people could sit on whenever they wanted? Let's hurry up. Wei Ziqi said, Little Rock will have to trouble you. I'm tired, I can't fly anymore. Little Rock slowed down. The Yin family's faces were burning. It seemed like that person's words had offended Little Rock. Sorry, he's just worried about his brother's situation. Please don't take it to heart. Yin Feng said. Cough cough Little Rock, hurry up. We still have to save the Divine Devil Valley's disciples. Wei Ziqi laughed secretly in his heart and patted Little Rock's back. All right. Little Rock snorted twice before increasing his speed. Sima Yue sat on Chongming's back and was much faster than Little Rock. They quickly left them behind. Pung! Uni and the Divine Devil Valley's people were beaten to the ground along with their flying beasts. Ha ha ha, isn't your Divine Devil Valley very powerful? The person who came stood on the flying beast and looked down arrogantly. Zhou Guang Xian, does your cloud cave really want to kill us all? Aren't you afraid that we'll get out alive and seek revenge on your cloud cave? A Divine Devil Valley's disciple said. Haha, if you all die here, who would know that we did it? Zhou Guang Xian laughed and said, Men, go down and kill them all. Chapter 367. The group of people jumped down from the flying beast and landed right in front of Uni and Carrot. Calm. Uni, I heard that you've been very proud of yourself recently. How could your handicapped master be willing to let you out of the Divine Devil Valley this time? A man with a scar on his face looked at Uni with a sinister smile. Zhonghai, you're here too. Uni's face sank when she saw the person closest to her. Cloud Cave's Zhonghai had always been against him. The two of them had been enemies for more than 10 years. He didn't expect to meet him here today. This person was vicious and merciless. Yin Feng and the others had not come yet. It seemed that this time he was doomed. Zhonghai, why are you still talking nonsense with him? Hurry up and clean him up so that we can chase after the rest of them. Zhou Guangxin urged in the air. Senior brother, why are you in such a hurry? It's rare that we have time to chat with the Divine Devil Valley's disciples. If we send them on their way, we'll be rude if we're too anxious. Zhonghai said. That's right, senior brother. We have to send them on their way. After the other man finished speaking, he used the knife in his hand to cut the arm of the person in front of him. The pain made the person's face turn as white as paper. He covered his arm with cold sweat, but he didn't make a sound, let alone beg for mercy. Just in case, Zhou Guangxin said. Well, since senior brother is in such a hurry, then let's end this quickly. Zhonghai said. I'll first cut off your hands and feet, then cut off your head. How about that? Zhonghai, don't you dare. A few people on the other side shouted. I dare. Haha, I dare. Zhonghai laughed and waved the sword in his hand, ready to chop down. No. The people from Divine Devil Valley shouted. Even Uni closed her eyes, waiting for the last bit of pain. But after a few seconds he didn't feel anything. Instead, he heard the voice he had been waiting for. Move then. I want to see how you're going to look at his limbs and head. He opened his eyes and saw Sima Yue standing on the back of a big bird. With a leap, she landed in front of him and kicked Zhonghai away. Uni, I'm not late, am I? She turned around and looked at Uni, who was seriously injured and unable to move, and said with a smile, "Cough, cough. It's not too late." Uni clutched her chest and coughed up blood, but her face was smiling. Sima Yue looked at the smile on his face and said, "I realized that you have the aura of a demon when you smile. Who are you? How dare you interfere in our business?" Zhong Hai had just been immobilized. Although he was kicked by Sima Yue, he regained his freedom. You're just a level 1 spiritual venerable. How dare you try to be a hero?" A man from the cloud cave scolded when he saw Sima Yue's strength. Everyone else had the same thought as well. After all, Sima Yue had shown her strength earlier. Only Zhuang Guang Xian did not underestimate Sima Yue. What she did to Zhong Hai just now was not something an ordinary person could do. He flew and landed in front of Sima Yue and said, "It's best if you don't interfere in our business. If you leave now, we won't bother you." Senior, Zhong Hai and the rest were anxious. If he really left, what would they do if he told others about them? "Shut up," Zhuang Guang Xian scolded Zhong Hai, then looked at Sima Yue and asked, "What do you think? Why don't we settle this?" Sima Yue sneered, "You're going to kill my Mystic Valley's disciple. You still want me to stand by and do nothing, and wait for you to gather your strength to kill me? You're from the Divine Devil Valley?" Zhuang Guang Xian looked at Sima Yue suspiciously. Why didn't he know that there was someone like her in the Mystic Valley? "Although I haven't been to the Divine Devil Valley, I am indeed from there," Sima Yue said. "So it's impossible for me to leave, but I can leave your lives behind." Shameless boasting. The Cloud Cave's people looked at Sima Yue. "We're at least 4th level spirit paragons. You, a 1st level spirit paragon, want to take our lives? Whether or not I'm shameless, you'll know in a while." Sima Yue laughed evilly. "You're not from the Divine Devil Valley. The Divine Devil Valley's blood thumb ring." Zhuang Guang Xian suddenly saw the blood thumb ring on Sima Yue's thumb, and cried out involuntarily, "Oh, it seems like you recognize this thing." Sima Yue said, "That's true. If it wasn't for this thing, I wouldn't be considered a member of the Divine Devil Valley." Blood thumb ring. She's a junior valley master? The Divine Devil Valley's people looked at Sima Yue in shock. They all knew that there was a junior valley master in the Yiling continent. They didn't expect to meet her here, and even more so, didn't expect that she would come to save them. "Since you know my identity, I won't talk nonsense," Sima Yue said. "Just like what you said, if we want to keep it a secret, we can only kill all of you. Chongming, I'll leave it to you." "All right." Chongming descended from the sky. When he reached the ground, he had already changed into his human form. "Sacred beast." Everyone cried out. They didn't expect her to have a sacred beast. When Chongming made his move, it was absolutely clean. Those people didn't even see how he made his move, and they all died one by one. Sima Yue didn't watch Chongming make his move. She came to Yuni's side and squatted down. Seeing that he was covered in injuries, she sighed. "I haven't seen you for a few months and you're already injured like this?" Yuni laughed bitterly. "It's really not as good as before." "All right, it's better that you don't talk. In a while, you won't have the strength to catalyze the pill," Sima Yue said as she took out a pill for him to consume. Then she looked at the people from Divine Devil Valley and asked, "These people are all from our valley?" "Yes, they are all disciples from different valleys in the inner valley," Yuni said. "There are even valleys?" Sima Yue asked. "Don't the people from Divine Devil Valley live together?" "It's not that they don't live together. It's just that people from different professions have different names," Yuni said. "Oh, it's still like this. So troublesome," Sima Yue said. "You're all injured. Why are you all so silly, and don't know how to take pills to heal your injuries?" Greetings to Junior Valley Master." Those people were a little awkward, but they still bowed to Sima Yue. "Forget it," Sima Yue said. "Are there no more pills?" The people from Divine Devil Valley nodded awkwardly. "I knew it," Sima Yue said. "Yun Feng and the rest have all finished their pills. You guys should be about the same. You over there, you look like you can still move. Distribute them to everyone," she said to a young man. That man walked over. took the pills and swallowed all of them. Yue, do you want to keep him alive? Chongming looked at the last person and asked. Keep him alive for the time being. I still have some things to ask him later. Sima Yue said. All right. Chongming nodded and didn't make a move on him for the time being. Zhonghai sat on the ground, looking at the sudden reversal of the situation and the sacred beast in front of him. He felt like he was in a dream. Of course, this dream was also a nightmare. Chapter 368. The people from the Divine Devil Valley were very curious about this Junior Valley Master who appeared out of nowhere. However, all of them were severely injured, and the most important thing was to heal their injuries. After a while, Little Rock brought the remaining people and hurried over. Brother Uni, are you all right? Guapepe was the first to fly down. She landed in front of Uni and looked at him with concern. I'm fine. Uni opened her eyes. There was a lazy smile on her face. Fortunately, Junior Valley Master came in time. Thank you, Yue. Yin Feng bowed to Sima Yue. What are you thanking me for? I just saved the people in our valley, Sima Yue said, then turned to Bei Gong Tang and Ouyang Fei. Do you guys still have a lot of healing pills? Both of them shook their heads and said, We've already cleaned up our medicinal pills before, and then distributed them to everyone. There's not much left. Junior Valley Master, many of them are also alchemists. It's just that they were being chased and didn't have the time to refine pills. Let's wait for them to recover and let them refine pills themselves. Uni said. That would be a waste of time. When they recover, it will be our turn to deal with those people. Sima Yue said. The three of us should make use of this time to refine some pills, in case we don't have enough later on. As she spoke to this point, she began to worry. She didn't know how Sima Yu ran and the others were doing right now. Would they run out of pills as well? She took out the Mother-Sun Stone and tried to contact Sima Yu ran and the others. She realized that they were too far away, and there was no response. Are you worried about them? Bei Gong Tang walked over and asked. Yes. I haven't contacted them for such a long time. I don't know how they are doing. Sima Yue said. Don't worry, Yulin isn't a simple guy. With him around, the others will be fine. Bei Gong Tang said. Okay, let's wait for a while. Once we're done here, we'll go look for them. Sima Yu took out the positioning jade stone. There were 2 red dots on it that were in a stationary state. Then let's refine the pills. The earlier we finish, the earlier we can go find them. Bei Gong Tang said considerately. All right. The 3 of them went to the side and started to refine pills. Many of the people in Divine Devil Valley were alchemists, but when they saw the 3 of them refining pills proficiently, and the rate of pills produced from every furnace, everyone was quite surprised. This wasn't difficult for them, but for these people who grew up in the lower realms, this wasn't easy. Moreover, they were much older than these 3, especially Sima Yoyue's technique. It could be compared to the previous generation. No wonder the Second Valley Lord chose her as his disciple. That was what everyone in the Divine Devil Valley was thinking. By the time their injuries were almost healed, Sima Yue and the others were almost done refining the pills. She distributed the pills to everyone, including the members of the Yin and Guo families. All right, now tell me what's going on. Sima Yue said. Who are the people who want to kill you? What kind of hatred do they have for you to go all out to kill you? Let me tell you. Uni looked at Zhonghai and said. They are from the Cloud Cave. They are our Divine Devil Valley's enemies. Cloud Cave? Have we reached the point where we will fight to the death with them? Sima Yue asked. You can say that. Uni said. The Second Valley Lord was injured by the Cloud Cave's cave master. What? My master was injured by them? Sima Yue glanced at Zhonghai. The murderous intent in her eyes made him shiver. That's right. Uni nodded. It seems that other than them, there are others who are trying to kill you? Sima Yue asked. Yes. The Sage Pavilion is colluding with the Cloud Cave. There are also the Zhang clansmen, and people from other continents. Uni said. The Sage Pavilion is colluding with the Zhang clansmen because of that old man, who became the assistant pavilion master. right? Sima Yue said. But they can gather people from other continents. Why can't you find people too? Because they find people with connections. For example, the Zhang clan and the Sage Pavilion have people who entered the upper realm. Our Divine Devil Valley doesn't take in many people, so we can gather few people. Plus, our luck isn't very good, so we didn't meet many people. And the other party has sacred beasts. Those people don't dare to be with us. A Divine Devil Valley disciple said. How many people do they have? Sima Yue asked. We don't know either. But we guess that there are at least 1,000. Yuni said. 1,000? So many people? Fatty Chu said in surprise. Just the Cloud Cave has at least 100 to 200 people. Shun Rao, the Divine Devil Valley disciple who spoke first said. And they seem to be targeting us. Once we met them, they started to chase us. There are many from the Sage Pavilion. Another person said. Including the people they gathered, 1,000 people is a conservative estimate. The other party has so many people. Why are there so few of you? Sima Yue said. The Divine Devil Valley had about 30 to 40 people. Including the Yin and Gua clansmen, there were less than 100 people. We didn't have so many people before. 10 to 20 people died in the battle. Someone said with red eyes. Yes, Junior Valley Master, you have to take revenge for them. Don't worry. If they dare to kill the Divine Devil Valley, we can also encircle and annihilate them. Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion, do you know where they are now? Sima Yue asked. I don't know the details, but I know the general location. Shen Rao said. Alright, then let's start the counterattack now. Sima Yue said. Because there were many people, everyone sat on their own flying beasts. Only Yuni and Shun Rao were called over by Sima Yue to understand the details of the Cloud Cave. After Yuni's explanation, Sima Yue then knew that the hatred between the Cloud Cave and the Divine Devil Valley was so strong that it couldn't be resolved. The Cloud Cave was seen as a righteous sect, but the Divine Devil Valley was both righteous and evil. Although there were more professional masters, most of them had bad tempers and often offended people. The Cloud Cave was one of the powers that had been offended. The reason why they hated each other in the beginning was unclear now. However, for thousands of years, the two forces would fight each other whenever they met. When they met in private, they would definitely fight to the death. As more and more people died, the conflict between the two forces could no longer be resolved. And the Cloud Cave and the Sage Pavilion were very close. Maybe it was because they both liked to pretend to be holy and righteous. Birds of a feather flock together. According to Yun Yi and the others' guesses, the Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave had been preparing to make a move against them in the Little Realm from the very beginning. That was why they had come prepared and caught the Divine Devil Valley's people off guard. Chapter 369. The people of Divine Devil Valley still felt like they were dreaming, but compared to Zhonghai's nightmare, their dream was a beautiful dream. Copy this address views %77%, 77%, 77%, 2% 62%, 69%, 71%, 69%, 2% 60%, 65 actually. When Old Man Devil came back and announced that he had taken in a disciple in the Yilin continent, and this disciple was recognized by the Blood Ring and became their Junior Valley Master. Everyone in the Divine Devil Valley was shocked, and some even rebelled. From their point of view, the people from the Lower Realm continent weren't anything special. Such a person wasn't qualified to be a Junior Valley Master. Many of them wanted to obtain Old Man Devil's inheritance, but none of them succeeded. In the end, a person from the Lower Realm obtained the position they dreamed of. But the Divine Devil Valley's rules were like that. They were not allowed to offend their superiors. Therefore, when Yuni saw Sima Yue, she had to bow to her even though she didn't want to. However, they didn't expect that this Junior Valley Master, who they had always looked down on, would come down from the sky and save them, pulling them back from the brink of death. Moreover, she was decisive in killing, and her talent was even higher than theirs, causing them to completely submit to her. Junior Valley Master. I didn't expect you to advance from a spiritual emperor to a spiritual venerable in just 9 months. Yuni sighed. I was lucky to get an opportunity. Sima Yue said. Advancing from a spirit emperor to a spirit supremacy in 9 months? Shen Rao looked at Sima Yue in shock. Was the Junior Valley Master a peak spirit emperor before? No, Sima Yue said. That is, Yu was a 5th level spirit saint before. In 9 months, oh, you've risen by 4 levels? Fatty Chu said. 4 levels in 9 months? Or is there a huge gap between them? Shen Rao cried out, attracting the attention of the others. After knowing that Sima Yue had advanced in rank, the other Divine Devil Valley's disciples were all dumbfounded, as they had never seen anyone advance in such a manner. Even if they advanced faster in the upper continents, no one had ever encountered such a situation. Master, there's a situation up ahead. Little Peng interrupted, breaking everyone's shock. What's wrong? Sima Yue asked. There's a fight. Let's go and take a look. Sima Yue said. If they are from those forces, we can clear the area. Yes, Master. Little Rock led them forward at high speed. Not long after, they saw a group of people fighting. On one side, there were mostly women, and their clothes were similar. They should be from the same sect. He couldn't tell which force the other party was from. They are from the Mumbo clan. Shen Rao immediately recognized the white-robed women. Is he close to us? Sima Yue asked. Not bad. The Second Valley Lord has a good relationship with one of their elders, Granny Feng. Yuni said. That's Zhong Quan. Shen Rao suddenly pointed at one of the men. Seeing the confusion on Sima Yue's face, Yuni explained. Zhong Quan is Zhong Hai's brother. They are all from the Cloud Cave. So Zhong Quan is leading a group of people to kill the Mumbo clan people? Sima Yue said. Since that's the case, what are you waiting for? Go and save the damsels in distress. With her command, the Divine Devil Valley's people were filled with fighting spirit. All of them wanted to fly over and join in the battle, to save the damsels in distress. Beauties, I told you not to put up a fight. You should just surrender obediently, and let our brothers have some fun. That way, you can live a little longer. A wretched man laughed wretchedly. Even if we die, we won't let you have your way. A woman shouted. Zhong Quan, you're leading people to kill the younger generation of the various sections. Aren't you afraid that the Cloud Cave will be hunted down by the various sects? Zhong Quan and Zhong Hai looked alike, but he looked more ruthless. Hearing the other party's reprimand, he laughed coldly. Since we've already made such a decision, we're already prepared for such a situation. Of course, we're only doing this because we have the strength. So you do have the strength. Sima Yue's voice rang out, shocking the people who were fighting. Weren't you? Seeing the Divine Devil Valley's people, Zhong Quan's face darkened, saying, Where's my brother? Of course we sent him on his way. Sima Yue said, We're sending you to see him now. Yuni. Compared to Zhong Quan and the rest, the Mumbo clan's people were much more excited. What are you waiting for? You were shouting about saving the beauties just now. Why aren't you going now? Sima Yue waved her hand. All right. The Divine Devil Valley's people joined in the battle, attacking Zhong Quan's people. Sima Yue also joined in the battle in order to consolidate her strength. When the Divine Devil Valley's people saw that she could beat a 3rd-level spirit paragon to the point where he couldn't even fight back, they were so shocked that their jaws almost dropped to the ground. What a strong battle power! It's so easy for her to fight someone of a higher level. The Junior Valley Master is mighty. Damn, that move is so cool. The crowd sighed. When Yuni saw Sima Yue's battle power, she couldn't help but sigh. This guy's strength was definitely unrivaled in the same level. No wonder he was chosen to be the Junior Valley Master. With this kind of strength, even if it was the Divine Devil Valley's people, no one in the younger generation could match up to him. Yuni was at the peak of the Spirit Paragon stage, and it wasn't difficult for her to deal with these people. So the battle situation was quickly reversed, and the people who were originally overbearing were all beaten up by the Divine Devil Valley's people until they lost the ability to move. The Mumbo clan's people gradually retreated from the battle after the Divine Devil Valley's people arrived. When the battle was over, A beautiful lady came forward to express her gratitude to Uni. Uni, thank you all. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid we wouldn't have survived today. The beautiful lady smiled slightly, and Fatty Chu almost drooled. If you want to thank someone, you should thank our Junior Valley Master. Uni said, Junior Valley Master? Isn't Ing Bai Chuan unable to enter this little realm? The beautiful lady frowned slightly. If that was the case, why would he send people to save them? I'm talking about the other Junior Valley Master. Uni pointed at Sima Yue, who was currently commanding the crowd to loot the spoils of war. She's your Junior Valley Master? The beautiful lady's red lips parted slightly in shock, and it was extremely alluring. She had seen her battle just now, and she was indeed rather powerful. But when did the Divine Devil Valley have another Junior Valley Master? Especially with this kind of behavior. Hey, you guys hurry up and loot their interspatial rings. These are our spoils of war, we can't just leave them here. This guy has a big background, there are so many treasures here. Fatty, what are you dawdling over there for? Don't let me find out that you're pocketing things. Sigh. I should have been gentler when I hit him just now. Such a good spirit weapon was destroyed by me just like that. This guy is really too weak. Oh, my treasure. The beautiful lady looked at Sima Yue's unrestrained roguish aura, and looked at Uni suspiciously. The meaning in her eyes was obvious. Is this really your Junior Valley Master? Chapter 370. Cough cough. Uni felt a little awkward when he saw Sima Yue's expression. He had seen her like this when he saved them previously. However, he still nodded and said, That's right. She is a disciple that the Second Valley Lord recently accepted. She obtained the recognition of the Blood Ring. So even though she hasn't gone to the primordial lands yet, she is still our Junior Valley Master. The beauty widened her eyes and said, She's not from the primordial lands? No. Uni looked at Sima Yue. Not only was she not from the top, she was from the worst continent. However, it was this kind of person that made him accept her wholeheartedly. He was willing to treat her as the Junior Valley Master. The beautiful woman saw Uni's attitude and knew that Sima Yue was not simple. Everyone in the upper realm knew that although Uni came from the restless continent, he was the direct disciple of an elder, and had great talent. He was highly valued by the Two-Valley Lord of the Divine Devil Valley. Although he was usually undisciplined, he was actually very arrogant. However, the way he looked at Sima Yue was filled with admiration and respect. If she hadn't been good at observation, she definitely wouldn't have been able to tell. Since that's the case, I'll go and thank her. I hope you can be a guide. The beauty smiled. All right. I like to serve beautiful women. Uni smiled lazily and took her to Sima Yue. Junior Valley Master, this is Xiaoya of the Moonbow sect. She is Granny Wen's favorite disciple. Uni said to Sima Yue, then pointed at Sima Yue and said, This is our Junior Valley Master Sima Yue. Uni, didn't I tell you not to call me Junior Valley Master? Come to think of it, I'm much younger than you. Sima Yue said, Why do I feel old when you call me that? Just call me Yue. Hee, this rule can't be abolished. When you go up there, people who are hundreds or thousands of years older than you will call you that. You have to get used to it in advance. Uni said. Although he didn't want to admit it, he liked to see Sima Yue's slightly raised eyebrows. Thank you, young Master Sima, for saving us. Xiaoya cupped her fists towards Sima Yue and thanked him with a smile. Miss Xiaoya, there's no need to be so polite. Didn't you see how happy those guys were when they saved the beauty? They need this kind of opportunity to express themselves. Sima Yue waved her hand. When the people who were collecting the loot heard Sima Yue's words, they couldn't help but twitch their lips and say, Junior Valley Master, we have always been serious. You were the one who said that, okay? What excited? What couldn't wait to be the hero to save the beauty? These were all her words. They were actually very serious from the start to the end. Even when it came to collecting the loot, they were extremely unwilling. Xiaoya covered her mouth and laughed. Their Moonbow clan and Divine Devil Valley had some relations, so the two sects would occasionally interact with each other. It wasn't that she didn't know how the people from Divine Devil Valley were like in the past. Although they seemed a little indecent at times, they weren't as exaggerated as Sima Yue said. No matter what, I still have to thank you. If you didn't rush over, I'm afraid that we would really. Speaking of this, Xiaoyu was a little angry. The people from Cloud Cave seem to have put in a lot of effort to get rid of us here. Looking at Zhongquan just now, it seems like he isn't afraid of us finding out. Looks like they have something to rely on. Right. Didn't Zhongquan say that Zhonghai brought people to kill you? How did you? At that time, our situation was similar to yours. In fact, it was even more dangerous than yours. It was the Junior Valley Master who brought his contracted beasts to save us. Yuni said as she looked at Sima Yue gratefully. She alone was able to save all of them? Xiaoyu was surprised, but she didn't show it on her face. Is your Moonbo clan also a large power in the upper levels? Sima Yue asked. She wasn't very clear about the distribution of power in the upper levels, so she wasn't clear about the relationships between the powers in the upper levels. In the past, she only knew that the Sage Pavilion seemed to be very powerful. Later on, she found out that the Divine Devil Valley was also very powerful. But it seemed like there were many powerful powers in the upper levels. The Moonbo clan is on the same level as the Divine Devil Valley. Yuni said. Then what about Cloud Cave? Although Cloud Cave is on the same level as us, they are considered to be at the bottom. Usually, they don't dare to fight with us. This time, I'm afraid that they have something to rely on. Xiaoyu said. From what I know other than us, there are others who are being hunted down. Especially since a holy sun from the Sage Pavilion has come down. Right now, I'm afraid that we can only avoid them. Hopefully, we can wait until the passage opens again. There's no need to avoid them. Yuni said. Yuni, the opponent has a sacred beast. Even if we have more people, we won't be a match for them. Xiaoyu said. They have a sacred beast, so do we. Yuni said. When the time comes, it's hard to say who will be stronger. You have a sacred beast too? Really? Xiaoyu was a little suspicious. She had never heard that Yuni had a sacred beast. It's the Junior Valley Master's contracted beast. Yuni replied. At that time he brought a sacred beast to save us. Xiaoyu was even more surprised. How could someone from the lower realms have a sacred beast as a contracted beast? Could it be that Old Man Devil found it for her? But that couldn't be the case. The people above usually wouldn't give their disciples contracted beasts that were much stronger than them, because it would be easy for the contracted beast to attack them. Their attention was all on this, but Sima Yue's attention was wandering back and forth between the two of them. In the end, the two of them were a little embarrassed and asked, Junior Valley Master, what's the matter? Sima Yue's gaze turned away from Guo Pei, who was a little disappointed and said, It's nothing. I'm just a little curious. Didn't you say that the people above are very powerful? Why are there so many people below the divine rank? There are quite a few people from your big sects who came down. What about the others? Although our numbers aren't small, we occupy a smaller portion than the others. Xiaoyu explained. For example, in a small sect, out of 10 to 20,000 people, there would only be a few hundred people below the divine rank. That's not even a tenth of the total. For bigger sects like ours, they pay more attention to the talents of the future generation and take in more people. That's why there are more people below the divine rank. Moreover, there are many people above, so even if the ratio is smaller, there are still more people below the divine rank. Yuni added. So it's like that. Sima Yue nodded. At the same time, she thought about the population growth in China in her previous life. Although the growth rate was smaller compared to foreigners, there were 1.3 billion people there. So what if the ratio was small? The growth rate was still much higher than other countries. It seemed like this was the same logic. At this moment, Fatty Chu walked over and said, Yue, we're done packing. What are we doing at the back? Chapter 371. Just as Sima Yu was leading her men to fight back, Sima Yulin and the others also ended their seclusion. Sima Yulin was the first to come out of seclusion. In the span of 9 months, he had risen by 3 ranks, becoming a fourth-ranked spirit saint. Sima Yulan had also risen quite a bit, but she was still a distance away from the fourth rank. Sima Yuyang had just become a third-rank spirit saint. The rest of the Sima family also entered the Spirit Emperor stage one after another. When all the spiritual chi liquid in the cave had been absorbed, they opened their eyes one after another. Who would have thought that all the spiritual liquid here would have been completely absorbed by us? Sima Yuqing sighed. Not bad. Everyone's strength has increased quite a bit. Sima Yuyang said with a smile. We've all advanced to the rank of spirit saint. Sima Yuming and the others were very happy as well. This was a huge gain for them. After asking the contract beasts, they found out that they had been in seclusion for nearly 10 months. 10 months? Sima Yulin furrowed his eyebrows. I didn't think that we would spend so much time in seclusion. Now that we only have 2 months left, we have to look for you and the others. Hey, there's a set of white bones over there. Sima Yuqi cried out. Everyone followed his gaze. In the deepest part of the cave, there was a set of white bones lying in the remaining spiritual energy liquid. Because they had absorbed most of the spiritual energy, this set of white bones was exposed. Is this the person who set up the formation back then? They walked over curiously. This person definitely did not leave before the little realm closed for some reason, and finally died of old age here. Sima Yuqing guessed. I don't think so. Sima Yuran said. If he died of old age, he wouldn't set up such a complicated array nearby. The spiritual energy seems to have all come here. Sima Yuyang said. Everyone sensed their surroundings, and found that it was indeed as he said. All the spiritual chi in this place had come here. What is it about this place that attracts all this spiritual chi? Sima Yuqing was extremely curious. It can't be that this skeleton can attract all this spiritual chi, right? Nonsense. How is that possible? Sima Yuyang knocked her on the head. Looks like we found a treasure this time. Sima Yulin said as he walked towards the skeleton. He carefully picked up the tattered clothes, and a pearl the size of a fist appeared in front of everyone. What is this thing? Sima Yuming asked what everyone was thinking. I don't know, but the spiritual chi liquid here should be related to this. Sima Yulin said. Looks like this bead has the ability to attract spiritual chi. If I use this bead to cultivate, I will definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. Sima Yuran said. Hee. Once we get out, we'll let our clansmen use this to cultivate. Our clansmen will definitely be stronger than the other clansmen. Sima Yuyang said. We'll keep it for now. We'll give it to Patriarch when we get out. Sima Yulin said. We'll go look for you and the others now. All right. Yulin, quickly take a look at how far away you and the others are from us. Sima Yuqing urged. Sima Yulin took out the jade stone. The 2 blood-red dots were rather small, indicating that the 2 of them were rather far away. Looks like we'll have to fly if we want to find them, Sima Yuyang said. It's a good thing that we have many flying beasts, and they're not slow either. If we travel day and night, it shouldn't take too much time, Sima Yuming said. Then let's go look for them now. Wait. Sima Yulin called out to stop them. What's wrong, Yulin? Everyone looked at him, and he waved his hands at them. After that, he bowed deeply to the white bone, saying, Many thanks to this senior for giving us this opportunity. We have no way of repaying you, but we will bury you in peace. When he did this, the others followed suit and bowed. Sima Yulin stood up and led everyone out. However, he did not bury the white bone in peace. Yulin. Sima Yuqing looked at Sima Yulin. Sima Yulin did not say anything. Instead, he went outside and began to break the array, collecting all the borrowed spirit stones. Once he had completely broken the array, everyone felt that the faint mist that had enveloped the mountain peak had disappeared. They stood in front of the mountain, and Sima Yulin bowed once again. After that, he condensed his spiritual chi and attacked the mountain peak. After a few continuous attacks, the entire mountain peak collapsed. The mound that rose up was like a huge tomb. Let's go. He called out his flying beast, and led the others towards Sima Yuyu's direction. Tens of thousands of miles away, Sima Yuyu was leading the Divine Devil Valley's men to battle with a group of people. Those people were merely the followers of Cloud Cave and Sage Pavilion, but their numbers were not small. The result of the battle was not surprising. However, Sima Yu and the others found out an even more shocking news from the mouths of the other party. Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave knew that the Divine Devil Valley's men had begun to counterattack. They had roped in a few people, and they were not weak. They had gathered at least tens of thousands of people to deal with them. Sima Yu pursed her lips when she heard this. She sighed. The ancients were right. This world lacks everything, but it does not lack people. Hearing her sigh, Yun Yi and the others laughed, saying, "This time, many people from different continents have come in. Every 100,000, there will be 80,000. They have gathered tens of thousands, so it's not too exaggerated. Then why don't we have so many people?" Sima Yu looked at their camp. Other than the Yun clan, Guo clan, Divine Devil Valley and Moonbow clan, there were only a few people from the Yilin continent left. There are many reasons. Shen Rao said. The Sage Pavilion is different from other powers. They have many pavilions in different continents, and their positions are very high. Those people from different continents usually submit to the Sage Pavilion's power. Now that the Sage Pavilion has gathered their forces, those who understand the Sage Pavilion will naturally follow them. Furthermore, the news of the Sage Pavilion having a sacred beast has already spread throughout the little realm. Everyone knows that having a sacred beast is basically a foregone conclusion. The Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave's gathering of people is just icing on the cake. They just want to show their faces. Yin Feng said. Sai, everyone knows how to develop their forces below. Why do you all only care about your little plot of land above? Sima Yu sighed. This might have something to do with the mental cultivation method that they cultivate in the later stages. Xiaoye said. I once heard Master say that the Sage Pavilion's mental cultivation method seems to be able to use the power of belief to advance. The more believers they have, the more power they will gain. That's why they need to continuously develop the people below. Since the Sage Pavilion and Divine Devil Valley are not on good terms, then how did Senior Brother become a holy son? Sima Yu did not understand. Furthermore, it seemed that he was not an ordinary holy son. It seemed that his position in the Sage Pavilion was rather high. Yuni shook her head, saying, We're not sure about this either. I heard that the Sage Pavilion's Pavilion Master personally came to the Divine Devil Valley to pick him up. Chapter 372. Sima Yu's heart skipped a beat. It was actually the Sage Pavilion's Pavilion Master who personally went to fetch her? The relationship between the Divine Devil Valley and the Sage Pavilion wasn't that good. So why did the Pavilion Master want to keep Wu Lingyu by his side? He even made him the holy son of the Sage Pavilion, a position that was even higher than the Pavilion Master of a normal pavilion. In particular, he had personally gone to pick up Wu Lingyu, which showed how much he valued him. For some reason, she felt that there was something fishy going on. But now that he couldn't think of anything, he simply suppressed this question in his heart. The members of the Moonbow clan have rested enough. Let's continue on our way. Sima Yue said. Should we continue walking in the same direction? Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yue took out the jade and looked at it. She realized that the red dot was actually moving. She said, Let's go and pick up Big Brother and the rest first. We'll talk about it after we've picked them up. They've come out. Sima Yulu asked. Earlier on, they had taken out jade stones to observe the other party's movements, but Sima Yulin and the others had not moved at all. That was why they guessed that they were in closed-door cultivation. Yes, they are moving. Sima Yue nodded. Let's go and pick them up. The group of them changed their direction slightly and flew towards where Sima Yulin and the others were. On the other side, the few of them traveled day and night. A few days later, when Sima Yulin took out the jade stone, Sima Yu was already not far from them. Yu and the others are rushing towards us. Sima Yuyang said. Then it won't be long before we meet. Sima Yuqing said. I wonder how many months have passed. Yu and the others have changed. I don't know if they have the same luck as us. Sima Yuming said. My intuition tells me that Yu will continue to leave us a few streets behind. Sima Yuyang said. You'll know when you see him. Sima Yulin didn't try to guess, but he also felt that Sima Yu must have met with some kind of opportunity. After all, her luck was so good. After a few more days passed, the two parties finally met. When the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbo clan saw Sima Yu and the others, they were curious as to why Sima Yu had traveled so far to receive them. When they were flying here, they didn't know that Sima Yu was going to pick someone up. They thought that they had found people from the Cloud Cave. They only found out about Sima Yu's motive when they contacted each other just now. Fifth brother. Yue. Big brother. When the two groups of people met, both sides had things they wanted to say to each other. And so, Sima Yue threw the people from the Divine Devil Valley and the Moonbo clan to one side, and the group of people went to the side to meet up. You've advanced to Spirit Paragon. Sima Yulin looked at Sima Yu and said with certainty, You've also risen to level 4 Spirit Emperor. Sima Yue said, What, you've actually advanced to Spirit Paragon? Weren't you just a level 5 Spirit Saint? Sima Yu cried out in shock and drew the attention of the people nearby. The people from the Divine Devil Valley already knew about this, but they were still shocked when they heard it again. The people from the Moonbo clan were not calm at all. They asked the people from the Divine Devil Valley whether it was true or not. When they received a positive answer, the beautiful ladies and handsome men were stunned. Their surprise was not limited to this. Their attention involuntarily drifted to the other side. From Sima Yulin and the others' conversation, they found out that the few of them had all grown by 2 to 3 ranks in the past 10 months. This kind of talent was extremely rare in the higher realms, but that group of people were all like this. As expected, those who are with the Junior Valley Master are not ordinary people. Shen Rao's mouth twitched, and he was not calm at all. The others nodded their heads in agreement. Sima Yue did not care about their reactions, and asked Sima Yulin about what happened after they separated. She found out that they had found a place similar to the Snow Wolf clan's place to cultivate, and had been in closed-door cultivation until recently. Only then did she heave a sigh of relief. After that, she told them about what had happened, and even told them about the current situation. It's a good thing you didn't meet those people. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to answer to the old fox and the others. She said, although we didn't meet them directly, we saw two groups of people fighting from afar. I don't know if it's the people you're talking about. Sima Yuyang said. At that time, they had sensed danger in front of them, so they did not go over. Instead, they hid at the side and watched. Sima Yue asked about the characteristics of those people, then called Uni and the others over. Once they asked, they found out that they were from the Cloud Cave and another sect above. It was just that they were from a smaller sect. Looks like the Cloud Cave is not just targeting us this time. They are also hunting down people from smaller sections. Xiaoya's expression was serious. They are so fearless. I think they have something else to rely on other than the Sage Pavilion. Could it be from the top? Shenrao guessed. It's hard to say. The top usually doesn't interfere with the things below. It's said that there is an agreement, but we don't know what the truth is. Xiaoya said. Top. There is a continent above the primordial lands? Sima Yue asked. No. Shenrao said. This is a division of the upper regions. The top is what we call the other regions. Actually, we are all in the same continent. Oh, Sima Yue said. This division is also based on strength, right? Yes, the region we are in is divided into the outer region, central region, and inner region. The outer region is where the ordinary forces gather. We are in the central region. The upper region we are talking about is the inner region. Xiaoya explained. Sima Yue caught the point in her words. The region they were in meant that there might be other regions. She really wanted to say, damn it, how big was this world? But she didn't ask this. Otherwise, it might hurt everyone's confidence. There are still 2 months before we leave. We have to make good use of these 2 months. We have to make them regret touching our people. Sima Yue said. Then she looked at Shen Rao and the rest and said, I think you have a way to find out where those people are? Don't bother about the gathered forces. We just have to take care of the main people. Okay. Shinrao nodded. His eyes were filled with excitement. They were finally going to fight back. In the following month, the people from Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave would receive news from time to time that the people from Divine Devil Valley were exterminated. The people who were brought out by Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were all annihilated. The people from Sage Pavilion and Cloud Cave were so angry that they almost vomited blood. On this day in a valley, a few people rushed over. Seeing the people guarding outside, they asked anxiously, "Is Holy Sun Yi still not out of seclusion?" "Not yet," the guard said. "We have already come 3 times this month. Aren't you tired? When the Holy Sun comes out, he will naturally look for you. You should leave now." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.